Hello everybody and welcome to the Trackalicious studio. We have got a very exciting action here on this Monday night of racing. I am Kuja Terekov. Joining me tonight is good friend and co-commentator Tyler Morgan. How are you doing this evening, Tyler?
I'm doing pretty good right now. It's exciting to be back in the broadcast booth after another week of just sitting here doing nothing except watching the NHL playoffs. Quick note on that, Kuja's team got eliminated, my team advanced, so not counting anything. But what we're here is for on the racing track, and this week is going to be a very, very wonderful contest, as I personally myself have driven this track before, and it's one of my more favorite tracks now on the calendar. Kuja, why don't you tell them where we are this week?
Yeah, we're going to the good old infamous Watkins Glen here in the good old US of A, outside of a town called Dix, New York. I believe about 2 hours south of Buffalo, pretty far away from the actual city of New York itself, but nonetheless a very, very fun 3.45 mile track in the hills in the New York countryside. Lots of forest in the surrounding region as well. Super pretty area to visit, I'm sure. One of the places I do want to go see a race of some sorts at some point, and I'm sure some of you have already been there. Big fans of racing, big fans of racing all around the Trackalicious community. I'm sure I've seen pictures of people go from race to race all around the country and show off all of that cool stuff. And speaking of action, let's head to the qualifying session. The drivers just getting started with the session now. The drivers have 20 minutes to set their flying laps here in the qualifying session. The first 10 minutes will go to those with the odd number plates, and the last 10 minutes will go to those on the even numbered plates. We see here Chris Saunderson will have to wait for 10 minutes in the number 18 Audi in the pits, as he is one of those even numbered drivers, but some drivers already out on track trying to get their outlap set.
Now, the outlap isn't necessarily as key, but in the GT4s, they do not have tire blankets. So the outlap is kind of critical for warming up those tires, making sure they get to the optimum temperature, so that way you can get the most out of your flying laps. Now it looks like they're racing. They may or may not be. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's illegal to overtake under qualifying unless you're absolutely like blue flagged and stuff. So you will see Emmanuel Ramirez build a gap to Shane Sullivan, who's going to be first across the line to start this wonderful qualifying session. But in the meantime, we talk about what we can see. As I said, they're going to prep their tires, no tire blankets. So the first lap, Kuja, might not be their ultimate pace. That just might be like kind of 75 to 80%.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to get a banker lap in nonetheless in those early few laps. 10 minutes is quite a good amount of session for qualifying, but it's not the most, especially with the lap times being right around that 2-minute mark. It only gives drivers a chance for about 5 laps, including the outlap. So really only 4 flying lap attempts. And if that first one is scrubbed, you really only have 3 on very good and warm tires here. We've got plenty of action in the chat. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Hope you are all doing well on this morning, afternoon, can't speak today, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you may be joining us. Thank you for joining along in this round 7 of the GT4 Rookies and Open Series, which will be following the rookies here this evening. And yeah, once again, always happy to see all the support in the chat. And now the drivers are certainly on their first flying lap attempts here.
There seems to be a lot of support for the number 59 in the Camaro. He seems to be getting a lot of love in the chat right now, so we'll give him his field. Isn't this the guy that's doing it on keyboard?
Yes, this is.
I can see by the way he turns going up that he's doing it on keyboard, because you can see the small kind of little janky movements, but like he gets around the track, so like I can't necessarily like, you know, give him like flame him for that. He's actually doing better than I think I even would do on keyboard. So like I'll give him his. Oh, apparently the paint isn't working from someone in the chat.
Oh no, that's unfortunate. I downloaded all the files literally 10 minutes before, so hopefully there wasn't some sort of upload issue, but...
It still looks pretty good in my opinion. Like, it's still pretty, still pretty good looking, so... I'm trying to think, now, there will be some blue on these drivers, normally meaning they're on an invalid. But for some strange reason, ACC kind of breaks and doesn't really work sometimes. So they could still be on a valid lap, but they're just like... It's just not registering, so we'll see. Oh, damn, that KTM is so weird looking. But
yeah, the KTM, the body especially of the KTM has got a lot of little like inlets and outlets where some air pockets certainly flow through. Yeah, it does have a weird look, especially since it's based on that little Expo crossbow KTM that they make for track use anyway. It is an odd car to base a GT4 car off of, but it works nonetheless. Shane Sullivan setting the first benchmark and Ramirez besting it right away with a 154.697. That is the time from the 157 Porsche to go chase down. Brian DeSantiago slots into second in the second BMW. The 777 is about half a second off of pole position.
Good lap by Ramirez. He's built a big enough gap so that he doesn't catch up to Sullivan in front of him. That would be the most difficult part, is knowing that you have pace on a lap, but the closer and closer you get to that driver, yes, it'll help you down the straights, but it will not help you in the braking zones, especially in the GT4. And we're being rated by Schofield again, Kuja.
Heck yeah, we are. Much appreciate the love and support from you once again, IB Schofield Racing. Hope you guys had a great stream tonight. Much appreciate the support here at Trackalicious. Hope you're enjoying yourself a fine afternoon, evening as well, wherever you may be joining us from. We've got round 7 here in the GT4 rookies underway. 18 cars participating in tonight's event. Awesome to see the numbers grow and grow by the race. Land Cloud here, the Grip Runners KTM, I believe joining for the first time last race. Fan favorite with the purple and black and white and silver livery. So certainly a fun look on that KTM, as well as a couple of other fun liveries, which we will certainly get to on our starting grid walk.
Apparently they were practicing from Oulton Park. And another Canadian has joined us. I love me some Canadian. I hope you're watching the Leafs game on a different monitor. I'd rather you watch us, but the Leaf game is just as important. We made the second round for like the second time in my acknowledgement of this sport's existence, so can't complain there. But Oulton Park, why are you driving and why are you practicing for Oulton Park? What? Out of all tracks?
Yeah, must be an upcoming race coming up, but I kind of like the flow of Oulton Park. I like it a lot more than, say, Snetterton, but still, Snetterton provided us with plenty of good action, so really can't fault Snetterton at all. Oulton Park, for me, just has a much more better, great wording there. But yeah, for me, the flow is just a little better around Oulton Park, and the GT3s especially. It's a lot more fun, I assume, in the GT4s with how narrow the track is. Land Cloud here in 8th place overall so far in the number 13. 12 of the drivers have odd numbered plates, 13 actually, so it's a pretty busy track at the moment. It'll be a lot less busy during the final 10 minutes, as it seems there are much fewer of those even numbered cars.
I do believe Brandon Draws has been a new addition to this to the rookies roster. You can join in on any time. It does not matter. We all appreciate all who drive and all who join. Dips a little bit of a wheel into the grass, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem for the Ginetta. So it currently sits P6. You have Ramirez still holding out on the best provisional pole position of a 54.625. Matroni's about 4/10. DeSantiago's about 5/10. You got Porkchop in the Alpine kind of doing that. You got DeSantiago passing, actually, Mr. Draws on a flying lap. So good job on the... Oh my god, we got 100 bits, Kuja. I will let you acknowledge that as soon as the end of DeSantiago's lap. So, coming through the final corner, you want to carry as much speed as you can, but you don't want to carry too much speed because there is a wall that will greet you if you do. And it's a short run down to the line, and DeSantiago cannot improve on his lap time. He was about 8/10 off.
Yeah, just about 8/10 off. Thank you for the cheered bits there, Sword and Keyboard. Thanks for the support here at Trackalicious. Much love from us to you. Got qualifying well underway. The last 2 minutes now for these odd numbered cars to do anything about their position and try to improve on their lap times. Domingos Matroni currently sits in second place. He's going around the final couple of corners here at turn 10 and 11. Very high speed left-hand corner, runs just a little bit wide, and that might just be valid enough. It might be. Let's see. Just wait and see. Oh, he taps the wall on the exit, though. That will unfortunately slow him down. It does not.
He improved?
It does improve. Yeah, he was massively improving before that little wide moment, and he tapped the wall according to this timing charts. And so it's very impressive he was still able to improve, but still about 3/10 off of the time of Emmanuel Ramirez, who has invalidated his lap. So that is the time to beat at the top, the 154.625 set by the 157 Porsche. That is the target for everyone to chase down.
That's impressive that he went out super wide, somehow didn't invalidate, tagged the wall, somehow didn't invalidate again, and then managed to set a personal best. That's actually shocking. A little bit of a twitch there from Shane Sullivan in the BMW, so that might screw up a little bit of lap time for him. Now, I don't know if he'll make the line in time. He might be the first of the drivers to cross the line. It's going to be close for Mr. Sullivan as he approaches, gets to the final corner just well enough. He will be the first driver to take the checkered flag of the odds at the 10-minute mark, and there sadly isn't an improvement from him, so that will be the end of his session. Number 79 will be next across the line. That would be Sandrat. He moves up to P11, and oh my goodness, that's a hockey-related thing. I'll deal with that later. Next across the line, I do believe, is going to be the number 59 of Thomas. He will sit currently 13th as it stands right now. The rest of the drivers you see, the odd number drivers, will be able to complete their lap, and any evens that are left are just on their out lap now. Matroni, can he find on that pole position? He snubbed himself the last time. Can he get up there now? No, he cannot. So that pole lap he had goes up in flames, and that is it for him. And Emmanuel Ramirez, now provisional pole is his.
Provisional pole is his. It looked like he did cross the line before the checkered flag went out. So this will be his last flying lap attempt for the Costa Rica racing team. Currently in pole position, has a pretty good gap, around 3/10, but we've got some insight from the chat saying that Colin Sugg might be in a good contention here for pole position. Currently out on a flying lap in the number 34, and Ramirez is slowing down, and I believe he is just returning to the pits.
I'd laugh if he was out of fuel, because that does not look like he's slowing down. That genuinely might seem he's out of fuel, but I don't know. But here comes Joe Allenson. So in this second even split qualifying, you have Sugg, Allenson, Marcinick, Warden, and Saunderson. Obviously, Allenson and Sugg probably the big heavy hitters. And oh my God, we got a hype train going? What is this? I've never seen this before.
Me neither, but I much appreciate it. Hopefully everybody else can see that. But yeah, thank you guys for causing that hype train. Much appreciate the love and support. And we've got a subscription from Official Karu. Thank you for the love and support. Been subscribed for 21 months, so a long-time supporter here. Thank you so much for nearly 2 years of support to the Trackalicious Twitch and streaming community. We absolutely love doing this for you guys, and hopefully you guys are enjoying what you are seeing here. Of course, it is always up to the racers. So really, it's a big thanks to them for putting on quite a show for everybody here.
Absolutely love it when I get to see. I just realized Matroni's still out on track.
Could just be coming in and practicing a pit stop for fun, you know?
Maybe, but apparently Big Hugh says the Camaros will be at the top. Well, unless Warden can manage to really push that envelope. Thomas is on a keyboard and he's doing his best, 1.6 seconds off of daily. So Sam Warden will really have to get the pace going. As it stands right now, there's 6 drivers out on track, should have 5. But Colin Sugg will be the first of the even drivers to cross the line. What lap time can he put on? As Kuja said before, we're getting reports that he is feeling himself out on this track. He's feeling good. And the time he sets is good enough for 3rd on the track. Allenson, another heavy hitter in this split, will take P7. Next across the line is going to be Saunderson. He'll find himself probably in the mid-pack, probably about 10th. No, finds himself 13th. And I hope that it's just Matroni. We need a fund for Thomas getting a wheel. I agree. Certainly, I agree.
Yeah, we got to start a GoFundMe or something. Spread that link around. And yeah, Matroni around for another lap. But nonetheless, he is on an invalid lap, so it doesn't really matter what happens when he crosses the line here. But yeah, still odd to see that he is going around on track here. The last 2 drivers yet to set a lap are Rob Marcinek here in the Porsche, currently in 18th, going up to the line. And now just 1 driver, who's Rob Marcinek, yet to set a valid lap time, as Sam Warden sets a valid lap, good enough to put the Camaro in the top 10 in 7th place at the moment. And Rob Marcinek will have to go around once again to try and set a valid lap here.
Rob Marcinek getting some cheers in the chat, so hopefully that can will him on to set a good lap time. Pretty sure that was almost an invalidation by Colin Sugg there on that turn. But if he remains valid, he's looking like a good time right now. You want to stay away from that wall, want to use all that curb on exit. You want to cut this inside corner as much as you physically feel like you can. Spread it a little bit wide. Don't downshift. Interesting. I always found myself downshifting into 3rd there just to really get the car turned and out on the throttle. Colin Sugg, where can he find himself now? He finds himself on provisional pole by almost 2/10 with a 154.460. Those reports were correct. Allenson will find themselves in the top 5 now with a point, with only about 3/4 off on the provisional pole time. Saunderson finding no improvement there on that lap. And for the second go around, where can Warden and hopefully Rob Marcinek can find themselves on a good provisional time? As Sam Warden deals with the tricky final few sets of corners. Can't imagine how it is in the Camaro, but you can hear that engine roaring. You can hear the freedom. You can hear the bald eagles screaming for mercy, but I don't think it's going to be an improvement from him. No, it is not.
Yeah, not quite able to do it on this lap here. Rob Marcinek on a valid lap, just tapping the wall with the back end of the Porsche, going around turn number 11, but on a valid lap, about 8 seconds off of the pace at the moment. But it looks like there was just a couple of incidents on that lap. Oh, and running wide into turn 1, spinning the Porsche, but keeping it out of the wall and avoiding any damage onto the Porsche. Still has time to go out for an outlap and try to set one more quick flying lap attempt, as Colin Sugg on provisional pole with that lap of 154.460 is looking to improve it and claim his stake at the top even higher than he did before. Looking for an improvement out of the final corner to the line. Will there be an improvement? There will, and there is nearly half a second between Colin Sugg and this guy in second place who we've seen dominate many races before, Emmanuel Ramirez. Joe Allenson is the third Porsche in a row in the top three, sliding a little bit wide on the exit there, but setting a lap time good enough for third place in the 76 Porsche.
Apparently all the drivers just don't want to continue qualifying, it seems. Just Warden and Saunderson. Apparently Sugg, Allenson, and Marcinek think their times are just fine the way they are right now. The number 18's come around again, which is Saunderson. So he's off and continuing on.
Yeah,
next
fairly empty track. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. Next across the lines, Warden. I got to pause there for a little bit longer than I would have wanted. But no improvement. And that is going to be Sam Warren's qualifying done. So the all the cameras and all the spotlights that we have here at Trekalicious are going to be on Saunderson now.
Yep. Commentator's curse can only be on Saunderson as he is the only one out on track. Everybody else already setting a valid lap. No penalties being served from the last round, so that is fantastic to see. The rookies learning the ways of clean racing, not having anything go down with the stewards, apart from a few racing incidents, I do believe. But nonetheless, racing incidents happen, and this is the place to learn how to deal with those. Chris Saunderson, the last car out on track is the Allison Racing, the number 18 Audi, sporting the Canadian flags on the front fenders. Going around the final few corners here. This is turn number 9, a very off-cambered corner here, very tricky to get right, get the power down without oversteering and sliding the car potentially into the walls on either side. Handling turn number 10 just fine, and now just one quick corner to go. To the right, turn number 11 after 3.48 miles, a slight touch to the wall on the outside. How high can Chris Saunderson get the Audi? He is going to stay in 13th place, just a couple hundredths off of his best time there, but not able to improve his position from 13th place.
Wow, he actually crossed the line in time. If he had enough fuel or enough of a will to continue on, would have been able to go, but he will find himself 13th, and that will set the order for race number 1 and eventually race number 2.
Indeed. In the rookies, we've got 2 races, 2 20-minute races, a quick double header here after that qualifying session. The grid order remains the same for both race 1 and race 2. So it's very important to get that lap down in qualifying to make sure the session stays, or your session or your best position stays through both of those sessions. And now that all of the odds and the evens have completed their laps, let's take a look at the starting grid here in tonight's rookie races. On pole position, as predicted by the chat, Colin Sugg, the Slug Racing number 34 Porsche, will have plenty of Porsche for company behind. Emmanuel Ramirez will start in second place in the Costa Rica Racing 157 Porsche, and it's a Porsche 123 in fact. Joe Allenson in the 76 will start on the second grid in the 76 Imori Racing Porsche. He will have the McLaren of Domingos Matroni for company. We've seen Matroni be very quick in the previous races. In the past, McLaren also very dominant in the straight line speed department. The number 5 lines up in 4th place. Brian DeSantiago, the first BMW on the grid, the 777 MPG Racing, will have Shane Sullivan in the other BMW, the 617 Racing Machine. Will be a BMW third row lockout. Valerio Martino in the 111 Porsche will start in 7th place. The first Camaro on the grid is Sam Warden in the V8 Racing number 22. Rally Dutchy, the first and only Aston Martin in the grid tonight in the Mad Fox Racing number 621. Rounding out the top 10 is Wade Georgeson in the 420 ounce 707 McLaren. And we'll hand off the rest of the grid to you, Tyler.
And you have just sitting outside the top 10, you have Dr. Porkchop in that tiny little Alpine. It's going to struggle in the straights, but it's going to be an absolute whiz in between sector 2. Then in 12th place, you have Brandon Draws sitting in 12th, number 35 in the Janetta. A little bit of flashes on screen. We'll get to you in just a minute, good sir. That would be Chris Saunderson in the Allison Racing Audi number 13. In 14th, you have the KTM of Land Cloud in that beautiful, beautiful livery of the Grip Runners. He will have Saunderson for company to his right. And then you have Parker Sandrat in the Omega Motorworks Audi. That is another beautiful livery on part of the Audi. Thank you very much, sir. And then in P16, you have Jay Daly in the OWP Racing 139 Janetta. Then you have the keyboard warrior, Hezzy Thomas, in the Dog Box Racing Mastiff. We will get that livery all synced up for next week. And then in P18, you have Rob Mantrink in the Porsche. So you have a little bit of a Porsche sandwich here with some Porsche meat in the middle. So, but for everyone else right now, they're all looking ahead at Colin Sugg, who's going to lead these drivers on for the formation lap and eventually the green flags when we get going.
Yep, for full formation lap underway here, getting started from the line here. Good amount of time for the drivers to get all their tires warmed up, get their brakes warmed up, and get themselves ready to race. Qualifying is one thing, hot lapping is one thing, but this is now the race, and this is about setting those hot laps consistently for 20 minutes while battling it out with the other drivers out on track. Hello, Eric. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a good start to your week so far here on this Monday night. Formation lap underway in round 7 around Watkins Glen in the GT4 series. Here the rookies will start us off, and following them will be the open round. No pit stop in the 20-minute races, so it's just a 20-minute sprint from start to finish around this 3.45 mile track at Watkins Glen.
Definitely a track that last season I had a bunch of fun racing on. I ended up having a pit lane start from, actually, funny enough, all the incidences I occurred up in Snetterton. So, thankfully, there's ghosting on the forum lap, or else Emmanuel Ramirez would slam the back of Colin Sugg there. But, we have a in-game audio super loud, FYI, needs to be 60%, says Eric.
Yep, I just adjusted it.
I was about to say, if you want to fix that before the race start, that would be probably the best. But I do believe Doyle has just asked us to hydrate, and off I go.
Yep, likewise here, sipping on some tea in that time that Tyler was talking. Just some standard black tea tonight, a bit of lemon in there. And yeah, hopefully that is that problem fixed. Eric, thank you for pointing that out. Was switching between the LMU settings and the ACC settings, so much appreciate the help on the back end there. Didn't quite notice it at the beginning. But yeah, hopefully we have a good 20-minute race here. Tyler, you've got a question from Neil. Where do you think the good corners to overtake on this track are as we get lined up in a zipper formation real quick?
I think turn 1's obviously going to be a nice overtaking opportunity. I would not personally want to overtake into the bus stop. That's probably not the best idea, I've heard, but you can get an overtake done definitely before that bus stop. Going side by side might not be ideal. You can find yourself in a lovely overtaking opportunity in the heavy braking zone just before sector 3 begins, in that little hairpin there, and another spot just over there. So I think there's about 3 or 4 good overtaking opportunities, turn 1 being the best because it's a somewhat of a heavy braking zone. But other than that, I would avoid going side by side in the bus stop. That might be death. And I'll go throw it back to you for the race start.
Yep, down the start-finish straight they go to the start-finish line. The top 2 are pretty much side by side. Colin Sugg a little bit in the back, and the green flag releases our drivers. Colin Sugg down the inside. The 3 Porsches get a really good start. The McLaren under threat from the BMWs. And now we'll see which Porsche will take advantage. Colin Sugg in the lead from pole position. Brian DeSantiago sending it down the inside of the McLaren, moves up into 4th place. Now has Joe Allenson in front and Ramirez to chase down for 2nd place. Matroni remains in 5th, and Brian DeSantiago, fantastic run. Will he get the Porsches? Are they going to go 3 wide? They are. Brian DeSantiago around the outside, Matroni on the inside. Who will be braver on the brakes? Matroni! He runs a little bit deep though, and Brian DeSantiago goes over the curbs. Matroni cuts the bus stop chicane, and Brian DeSantiago will move up into 3rd place. Allenson back into 4th. And Shane Sullivan, now the BMW battling with the McLaren for 5th and 6th place. Shane Sullivan gets through the McLaren, and the McLaren, unfortunately, of Matroni dropping back a few places after that mistake in the bus stop.
What absolute speed by the McLaren in the straights. You knew we were going to see that coming, especially with the McLaren and how much it pulls in the straight, but the BMW is just as quick. It was an absolutely sensational thought for both DeSantiago and Matroni to go 3 wide with Allenson. Allenson actually kind of getting the better off. And just as I call his name, I do believe that is Martino and Matroni coming into contact with one another. That is just an unfortunate move there by Martino, and a little bit of a not ideal move, because that's going to absolutely put Matroni into a very bad spot. And then you have Landcloud fighting for P10 here, and he's got another driver softly on his the wall's coming, sir, and that is a tap into the wall, and that's going to be significant damage for Landcloud, as Dr. Porkchop, who seemingly has just been able to just find himself in nice clear air, finds himself up into P8. And then you have Brandon Draws, also another driver who didn't have the best of qualifying, finds himself in P6, just avoiding incidences. And now Matroni got some karma for cutting. I wouldn't necessarily call that cutting. That was more trying to save his own butt. But here comes the Camaro of Sam Warren, maybe thinking about a dummy move up the inside, but elects better of it after seeing what Matroni did early, or Matroni did earlier before, and is just going to sit behind Brandon Draws and wait. You have Wade Gorgonson, who also, again, finds themselves in a lovely spot, especially with all the contact that's happened before.
Yeah, plenty of action from the top of the grid, allowing the drivers outside of the top 10 to move through. Oh, and there's more contact. Oh, and there's oh, goodness me. There's so much chaos happening behind. Matroni getting tapped in the McLaren, and there was just nowhere to go for some drivers behind, so they just had to tap the cars in front. Unfortunate, not able to get a replay of that moment there, but still able to keep going. Are most of the drivers dropping back are Matroni and Rally Dutchy.
That was almost like just a car crash. Pulling and pulling is definitely what we had there, because you had Gorgonson make a tap and then kind of and that is Matroni gone. He's actually gone. So he has decided that he's had enough of this, and then you're going to have Martino and Porkchop having a little battle here. You're going to have Sam Morton and Draws having a little bit of a fight here going into turn 1. Oh my God, you cut off. But what an excellent release by Sam Morton there, and that's going to get him ahead of Brandon Draws. Just a better exit out of turn 1, and the Camaro is going to absolutely pull away from that Ginetta, and we're going to have a little bit of a replay of it here. Now, it was very key, very crucial that you get a better exit. As the Ginetta goes a little bit of a hair deep, Sam Morton gets an absolute beautiful exit. Gets almost such a perfect exit, he almost kills the Ginetta, but manages to avoid the contact, and off we go again. And it's just a beautiful, again, can't say enough about that exit by Sam Morton, and that's a position gained for him, and Porkchop still defending on Martino.
Yeah, really good move Unfortunately, didn't see that bit of a wiggle, so yeah, tuned to the action behind, but nonetheless, Sam Warden was able to get that move done after the Ginetta just a little bit deep in the braking zone of turn 1. Colin Sugg pretty comfortably with a 1.7 second lead out in front of Emmanuel Ramirez, who does have Brian DeSantiago behind with 1 second gap for company. So with that battle for second and third, we'll certainly pick up at any point here. Joe Allenson just outside the top 3 in fourth in the 76. 1.5 seconds off of that pole position, with Shane Sullivan in the 617 BMW for company, rounding out our top 5.
A little bit wide there by Mr. Brandon Draws, so he's going to find himself in a little bit of trouble. Martino trying his best to get past the doctor here, but the doctor's just not in his office, and if he is, he's slamming the door shut on the Italian driver. And then you have Wade Gorgonson and Liam Cloud fighting in the background. That KTM's harboring a little bit of damage after smacking the wall and somehow avoiding the incidents between that Wade Gorgonson kind of got involved in. Rally Dutchy in the pits right now, electing to most likely just stay there after collecting a lot of damage between Matroni and him in that little bit of a scuffle that they had. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, to interrupt the Leafs' second goal, 2-0. I will be happy about that. Land Cloud heads off in pursuit of this Mercedes, does not get him into the bus stop. Elected not to dive either, but I think the Mercedes straight line speed, as Eric would love to point out, is just far superior to the KTM in the straight.
Yeah, they certainly do have a lot of straight line speed compared to the KTM. Most certainly, a lot of cars have great straight line speed compared to that little KTM of a beast. Pretty similar to the Ginetta and the Alpine in that sense, where it's an absolutely nimble machine in the corners, but it kind of loses out in that straight line speed department. And the same is happening here with the BMW. The 777 gets a fantastic launch down the straights, and now the battle for second and third picks up. There's a bit of a move down the inside. He's thinking about it, sends Ramirez wide. That might be a track limit warning for the car currently in second place. Brian DeSantiago certainly applying the pressure to the Porsche, who is in second place at the moment. The Costa Rica racing team has been in this position before, has to defend from Brian for the beginning of lap 5 here.
Here comes the BMW. The straight line speed of it's gonna pull on the Porsche, but it's up to Ramirez to decide where he wants to defend. DeSantiago sniffing, breathing the exhaust fumes of Emmanuel Ramirez. He can find out what he had for lunch this afternoon. He's that far into this exhaust. They're gonna go side by side through the bus stop. Last on the brakes. DeSantiago brakes on the grass. Oh, what a tank slapper! But a beautiful drift save by DeSantiago will prevent him from losing a position, but definitely isn't as close to Emmanuel Ramirez, but it could have been a whole heck of a lot worse for the BMW driver. But as I say that, Joe Allenson's gonna find himself in company right now with DeSantiago after DeSantiago's mistake through the bus stop. A little bit of an inside move there by Allenson. Read well by DeSantiago and defended quite well. Maybe does Allenson think of a move here up the inside? DeSantiago defends it quite well. He's saying if you want it, you're going to have to dive for it. And Allenson making the smart play to not do that. DeSantiago knows that as much as he has to defend from Allenson, he knows he has to pace to catch Ramirez again.
Yeah, he certainly does. Currently has the fastest lap of the race. You can see with that purple indicator next to his name on the top left. That'll show us that he is the fastest man out on track, but unfortunately, a couple of incidents like that, dipping a wheel into the grass, into the braking zone, sending the BMW drifting into the final corner. Joe Allenson will really have an advantage here going down the start-finish straight if DeSantiago continues to dip that left side into the grass, and it seems to be that left side that's giving him a bit of trouble into the bus stop chicane at it's not really a turn actually, it's just the bus stop chicane. So going through there, he did dip those wheels into the braking zone, causing that BMW to drift all the way through it. And now, instead of being on the tail of the Porsche in front for second place, he has Joe Allenson behind for company. And now that he is going through there with a bit of clean air, able to go through the chicane just fine, manages the bumps of the curbs, and the BMW plants the power and goes down into the boot.
It's definitely not a situation where you want to find yourself braking on the grass. Your traction will be absolutely useless, and you'll find yourself in a situation just like that. Those tank slappers are a little bit scary. Allenson, again, just letting DeSantiago know, hey, I'm right here. I know you're chasing second, but I'm right here. You need to worry about me before you worry about him. And then you got Shane Sullivan in the background just watching this go on, hoping that maybe, just maybe, one of these drivers can make a mistake and he can find himself fighting for a podium position. But right now, it is just a 3-horse race for 2, 3, and 4 right now, as Colin Sugg has found himself in a nice, comfortable gap due to all this fighting that's behind him.
Yeah, he sure has. About 3.7 seconds, with Ramirez having to take the defensive line a couple of times, and DeSantiago now falling back. We'll see what sort of pace Ramirez can put in now that he has a bit of clean air. And as you said, Shane Sullivan is gaining on the cars in front, ever so slightly, about a few tenths on the last few laps, but not able to replicate his best lap on this occasion, and will have to try and get that move done again. And speaking of moves, Martino is trying a move on the Ginetta. He's going to try to go around the outside of turn 1. This is where Draws made that mistake and let the 22 of Sam Warden go through, and now going up the hill at the S's of turns 3 and 4 at Watkins Glen, going to the bus stop chicane. Can the 111 get that slipstream advantage it's looking for and use it to its advantage, but not quite close enough to do it on this occasion? Very good on the brakes, though, is the Porsche compared to the Ginetta. Almost a rear or a front to rear collision there between the two would have certainly sent the Ginetta into a barrier there. Oh, and the Ginetta running wide, almost going into a barrier on its own terms, more than likely picking up a track limit there for running that wide, kicking up plenty of dust onto the gravel as they go down the chute, entering the boot. That is now turn 6. Turn 7 is the toe of the boot. A bit of a difficult corner to get right. You want to get the power down as early as possible as the track goes heavily uphill in that section itself before leveling off at the top here of the braking zone at the heel of turn 8.
Definitely a situation you don't want to find yourself in, especially if you're Brandon Draws getting far out onto the grass like that. And ooh, a little bit of an understeer, trying to force Martino a little bit wide, defending the inside now as Draws struggling seemingly, and that Ginetta is going to go a little bit wide. That's going to allow Martino a little bit more of a look. Martino just playing with a little bit of different lines here, trying to get Mr. Brandon Draws to like almost kind of move himself out of the way in a weird little sense, trying to like force a mistake from the Ginetta driver. And that's the mistake that Martino was looking for right there. That's going to allow him an opportunity to get past Brandon Draws. Oh my God, they're going to go side by side all the way up the hill, all the way down to the bus stop. It is going to be a side-by-side battle to the bus stop. Advantage goes to the Ginetta, I would believe, for having the inside, but the Porsche has the straight line speed and cuts in front. That's a lot of speed, and the Ginetta goes sideways, but manages to save another save of the year contender there from this. And then you have Saunderson and Dolly fighting it out. The Ginetta's in a world of pain as the Audi now cuts in front of the Ginetta. Beautiful racing, tap by the Ginetta, saying I'm right here. That front end damage is kind of somewhat significant, but beautiful moves done by both Saunderson and Martino, respectively, to get past the Ginetta duo.
And we have a subscription from GESU Motorsport. Much appreciate the support here at Trackalicious. Subscribed for 37 months. Much appreciate that 37-month streak. So yeah, much appreciate the ongoing support. So thank you very much from us in the commentators booth, for everybody here at Trackalicious, from the admins to the stewards, as the Ginetta sends it down the inside to retake 12th place or 11th place away from Chris Saunderson. The Audi dropping back after leaving that door just a little bit open, and the Ginetta taking full advantage and opening it right up and sweeping to the inside of turn 8. Again, what a beautiful, beautiful move. Saunderson just left the door too much open, and just the Ginetta just absolutely just beautifully taken through. Hazy's actually in 13th. He's not last. And on a keyboard, that's actually pretty incredible. So we'll take that. And that is an... I can't talk about it because it's hockey. Down the inside, it goes by Saunderson, and oh my goodness, are we just going to have a Control-C, Control-V from the last lap again? But I think this time Saunderson's a little bit more ahead than the Ginetta. But this is my interesting thought. Would you rather be the car in front or the car behind getting the tow? I guess it depends on your vehicle of choice. The Ginetta doesn't have the straight line speed that the Audi compares to. Neither does the Audi, but the Ginetta arguably has less. Better in the second sector, and that is a lovely overtake done by Saunderson that was done from basically turn 1 up until turn 3. But now, crucially, can he defend through the second sector and avoid giving up that place in 11th again to the Ginetta of Daly? Yeah, he did it on the lap before, but it looks like that gap is building ever so slightly to the Ginetta of Daly behind, and the 139 suffering a bit of front end damage will suffer in the straight line speed department and a little bit of cornering speed as well. So maybe not quite as representative of a pace from the Ginetta as we're quite used to from the qualifying session, but nonetheless toughing it out with the damage. With the remaining 2.5 minutes of the race, the time has really flown by. I feel like we've barely mentioned how much time has been in the race with how much action there has been up and down the field. The gap's kind of opening up a little bit here, but Brian DeSantiago is closing down a little bit lap by lap to Emmanuel Ramirez, and that gap between second and third, or sorry, the race between second and third will pick up in the closing stages of this race for sure.
Well, funny enough, I do believe you have this. I do believe there's some backmarker traffic. Yeah, there is. There's backmarker of Marcinek there, providing a little bit of a screen kind of helping Brian DeSantiago with Emmanuel Ramirez. I do believe. I cannot confirm that, and I will not. But again, DeSantiago, whenever he seems to get near this Porsche, he seems to find himself cutting some grass. This is not a Mercedes. This is not a lawnmower. This is a BMW, and you do not want to find yourself washing out wide there, as he almost just does. And he has what's left of this lap, and then the next lap is the final lap. So he's got to find himself a little bit closer to the Porsche up ahead, and that's a stop-go for the 84, which, did they just join?
Yeah, I believe Moreira just rejoined, maybe just trying to get a few practice laps in before the next race starts up here after this 20-minute race for the rookies is complete with 1 lap to go. Colin Sugg across the line in the lead of the race. Ramirez tapping the wall out of the final corner. That will certainly pick up a little bit of damage on the rear end of the Porsche, and this battle will really pick up between the Porsche and the BMW as Ramirez runs wide on the exit of turn 1, taking as much speed as he can through that corner. Maybe he knows he has a few track limits in his hand and is just using one to build that gap to the BMW, who has a really good straight line speed advantage down this back straight before entering the bus stop chicane. And we'll see here everybody taking it nice and smooth, except for the final part where Emmanuel Ramirez deciding to cut the final part just a little bit in the Porsche. Colin Sugg in the lead, the foreground in that gray and black Porsche out in front. The pink Porsche of Joe Allenson in the background in 4th place, but this battle for 2nd and 3rd is pretty close, but it doesn't look quite close enough yet for Brian DeSantiago to make that move into the toe. But the straight line speed of the BMW will be really helpful up this hill and down this little straight before entering the heel. And then it's just 3 corners to go for the Porsche to defend that 2nd place position from the BMW behind.
Vicente Morera has 2 laps remaining left to serve as stop-go, but he's not going to get the opportunity because, you know, one, he just joined and Colin Sugg's about to win this race in the next about 1 corner, I'd say. So plenty of time to serve that, as Colin Sugg's going to find himself winning race number 1. An absolutely dominant performance. Didn't lose it from the lead lap on. Congratulations to him. Emmanuel Ramirez is just going to hold on to P2. DeSantiago will find himself P3. Allenson, with a nice, good, strong race, finds himself P4, drifting across and taking out whatever berry the Fanatec board as it flies across our screens. Shane Sullivan's going to find himself 5th. Then you have Sam Morton in 6th, Martino in 7th, Draws in 8th, Pork Chop in 9th, Cloud in 10th, Saunderson 11th, Daly 12th, Thomas, and a very, very, very impressive P13. What a performance by the keyboard warrior. Morganson will finish 14th, and then Dutchy and Morera will finish in the back with Marcinic.
Sounds like we've got some donuts going on in the foreground of shot there. The engine's revving all the way up there. Saunderson taking the checkered flag in 11th. Daly behind in the Ginetta in 12th. And the crowd favorite, the keyboard warrior, Hezzy Thomas in the 59 Camaro, rounding out turn number 10 before the braking zone of turn number 11. And this will be his 11th lap completed around Watkins Glen. He will be the last one to take the checkered flag that's not serving a penalty, and that is Vicente Morera behind, joining a little bit late, but nonetheless here for race 2 in the victory of conquest number 84. Strandette and Matroni unfortunately not able to finish race 1, but hopefully they will be joining back here for race 2. And Neil says he kind of wants a keyboard cam for H. Thomas just to see what it looks like. And yeah, I 100% agree. And it'll certainly interesting to see the inputs. We could take a look on board, Neil, at one point just to take a look at how it looks from the inside there. But congrats to Colin Sugg taking the checkered flag in pole position there on top of race 1. And now we've got race 2 starting up.
Yeah, it was an absolutely lovely job by Colin Sugg there. And DeSantiago actually moves up 1 position from 4th to 3rd, and Allenson loses 1 spot. So 1 and 2 stayed the same, and then you had a little bit of movement for the podium positions. So we've actually lost a few drivers. We've lost the number 5 of it's not. There's so many drivers with Martino, Morera, Matroni. Like you guys all. Why is there so many drivers with M's?
Lots of M's on the grid, and yeah, you're right. It was Martino in the 111 had the contact with the 5 of Matroni, and that sent him into the wall there, and unfortunately, just retiring from the race at that point. I do believe. And with how much the grid has shuffled up, let us remind ourselves of the starting grid order. We'll give the top 10 to you this time, Tyler.
So you have Colin Sugg, the winner of the last race, finding themselves in pole position. In 2nd place, you have Emmanuel. Again, a nice 2nd place for them, holding on to that P2 in the Costa Rica Racing Team 175. Then you have Joe Allenson, who found themselves sadly losing that podium position in the fourth last race, is now back onto third for the start of the second. Then you have Mr. Brian DeSantiago, who finds himself in P4 again to start the second race. This is all just the results from the qualifying session before. Then you have Shane Sullivan keeping his fellow BMW driver for company. Nice and together are they in the 617 Racing. Then you have Martino in the 111 Porsche. The amount of Porsches that we have this week is insane. Then you have Sam Warden keeping Martino for... That is Gorgonson, sir. That is the wrong car.
Correct.
Then you
the
have
thing is all out of order here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then you got Sam Warden finding themselves in P7. Then you have Rally Dutchy, who kind of got unfortunate contact with all those drivers up ahead. Oh, he's redeeming. Oh, no, he's redeeming a full onboard lap. Rally Dutchy in 8th. Then you have Wade Gorgonson in P9. And then you have Dr. Porkchop promoted up to P10 because we've had a few people lose. Hazy has actually got to restart his sim. So we might not have the keyboard warrior for this next race.
Well, hopefully we'll get that going. Plenty of time still under the way for the formation lap to get going and get a pit lane start. And that rounds out our top 10. In 11th place, Brandon Draws in the 35. Janetta will look to get into that top 10 position. He had a fantastic start benefiting from all the chaos in race 1 before. We'll look to do the same in race 2 here. Chris Saunderson in the Allison Racing, getting some good racing with the Janetta of Jay Daly in the previous race. Also looking for a strong finish in race 2. Land Cloud lines up in 13th in the Grip Runners KTM number 13. The number matches the position. How about that? Jay Daly in the 139. Janetta, a bit of damage picked up on the front end, it looked like, from our cameras while battling the Audi in the OWP Racing. Look for a cleaner race here in race 2, and let's see if everything here will get itself figured out so we can get with our final 2 drivers, who are Rob Marcinek in the number 8 Porsche. We'll start from 15th on the grid, and we'll have fellow Porsche driver Vicente Moreira for company in the 84. Victory of Conquest, unable to join for race 1, but here he's back for race number 2, and it's even more of a Porsche sandwich as the bun on the bottom has increased to 2 cars.
Yeah, it's not as a soggy bun on the bottom anymore. So there's a little bit of structure, there's a little bit of stability in this burger, and I quite enjoy that stability very much. Is Colin Sugg like a mile ahead of Ramirez again?
He sure is.
Oh, God. Can we not have another drive-through shenanigan, please? It's the last thing I want to deal with right now, is dealing with drive-through shenanigans off a race start. But there he is, finally into frame. I might be able to get into for the pit lane. Yep, that's all you need to do. And Kerbals redeemed an onboard lap in race 2.
You know what? Why don't we do the warm-up lap?
Actually, yeah, that might not be a bad idea because we're still a little bit halfway through. We'll
actually,
make sure.
We can't because he's not on the grid right now. Which, dang, that's unfortunate.
Right. He's redeemed it only for him not to be able to make it for this.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if he can rejoin. But when we have a break in the action, we'll see. Yeah, it might be an IOU. We'll wait for a break in the action, of course, and see if there is time to do for a full onboard. But if we don't have time for a full onboard, we can cut at least for a little bit. But nonetheless, hopefully Hezzy Thomas will be able to rejoin us from the pit lane in race 2 after that strong finish. The keyboard warrior in the top 15 with a strong position, benefiting from all of the chaos in race number 1.
Zipper formation,
as Tyler proclaims it. Zipper formation.
And he's in.
Colin Sugg from the lead will try to defend from the cars behind, as he did in race number 1. Joe Allenson will look to finish on the podium after starting in 3rd. The 2 BMWs getting really strong starts on the beginning of the last race, Brian DeSantiago able to carry that momentum into a top 3 finish. Let's see how race 2 will go as the zipper formation from 1st to 16th with Thomas in the pits taking the formation lap around the final corner. And we have, unfortunately, a couple of drive-throughs at the back for Saunderson and Daly. Sugg down the inside. Allenson with a better getaway than before, but the 2 BMWs will try to look very speedy down the S's and through the back straight. Here we go for the first time on lap 1. What can the BMWs do? Going a little bit wide is DeSantiago. He's got Shane Sullivan for company now. The 2 BMWs are going to battle it out here into the bus stop chicane, but it looks like Shane Sullivan's gonna send it down the inside, and now Brian DeSantiago cutting the chicane. That's a great move from Sullivan to go all the way there around the outside, and the 617 moves up into 4th place.
What a move. What a beautiful, fantastic move. That is going to be passer move of the season. DeSantiago decides, no, I'm in charge of this. Bumps him a little bit wide. There's a driver just absolutely eating gravel right now on the side of the track. I don't know who that was, but that car had a mouthful of gravel. And Shane Sullivan's going to lose out to Martino. I think a little bit of a bump between DeSantiago and Sullivan occurred there. Now, Shane Sullivan might think about a dive up the inside on Martino and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to dive up the inside and make the overtake stick. The BMW's not giving a flying pigeon about these cars and just throwing them into corners and making it stick.
It is working so well for them right now. An absolutely great battle between the 2 BMWs in the 2nd sector of the track, and the 2 Porsches are battling for 2nd and 3rd place. Ramirez running a little bit wide, but keeping it out of the wall on the exit there. We've got a couple of cars in the wall on pit entry there. The 2 drivers were going to serve the drive-through, but it looks like it caught a few drivers out from behind and taking a little bit of damage. Ramirez, Allenson going wide, DeSantiago keeping it on the track. Let's see where that BMW can go. He's going around the outside of Allenson, just lifting off, avoiding the wall on the inside, or the outside, and now down the inside. He has the straight line speed advantage, certainly, over the Porsche of Allenson. A little bit of a bump between the 2, forcing DeSantiago even more to the inside, but he gets the move done. Up into 3rd place is the 777 BMW of DeSantiago, and Sullivan and Martino very close to this battle for 4th and 3rd place in front as well.
Professor Chronotis is seemingly coming. I wonder what that's all about, but we're going to ignore that. We're going to move on, and we're going to keep focused on the battle. Shane Sullivan has been through the ringer, has gotten past DeSantiago, lost places to Allenson, and then Martino, dove it up the inside of Martino, and now you have DeSantiago and Allenson fighting it out for the final podium position. Allenson wanting a piece of the podium pie, might find himself diving up the inside. Yes, he does. Contact is made. That's going to force DeSantiago out wide, and then possibly Mr. Sullivan will have their through goes Hamilton moment, but not just yet. This battle is going to be held out for DeSantiago and Allenson alone. DeSantiago up the inside in a place that you wouldn't normally see, and as you can tell, it didn't really work out all that well. They're gonna just have to follow Allenson behind. This is an absolutely legendary battle between these 2 drivers right now, and I do believe Chrono probably just joined the wrong server. The BMW straight line speed pulling on the Porsche. DeSantiago braking a little bit early, focusing on the exit to get a better rundown. The Porsche gets a little bit of a skippy exit, and that's going to allow them to go side by side up the hill. The BMW is going to absolutely pull on this Porsche, and this Porsche is about to be in a sandwich it really doesn't want to be in. It's a BMW sandwich, and it's not going to be ideal for the Porsche. And in comes Shane Sullivan with a tap, and they tap again. Shane Sullivan might get both of them here. Oh, they're going to tap, and they're gonna tap again. Allinson, can you save the car? Yes, you can. You're gonna lose some places.
Oh.
But the battles were just endless there. Oh.
Yeah, holy crap. Valerio Martino benefiting from that contact. He goes up into fourth place.
God,
Janetta sending it up the inside. They're 3 wide. Shane Sullivan getting bumped into the wall on the outside. Martino in the 111 Porsche up in front. The Janettas trying to send a move again down the inside. They were 3 wide there in the apex of the corner. And Shane Sullivan, unfortunately, on the outside there, just getting sent into the wall. And after his incident earlier, from 4th place, he drops all the way back down into 9th. Joe Allinson, also that other car getting involved in the incident at the bus stop chicane, not losing too many positions, back in 7th place. And this battle for 4th place is heating up between Martino and the 22 Camaro. The Camaro down the inside as Tyler said, in a very unconventional spot, but he gets the move done before the braking zone. A tap between the Janetta and the Porsche. The Janetta nearly goes into the back of the Camaro, and Joe Allinson. And Allinson is having his Hamilton moment as he is going to try to take both the Janetta and Martino into turn 1. He sends it down the inside of both cars. The Janetta trying to sweep around the outside. The Janetta maintains the position, and this 5-car battle is going to go up the hill, up through the S's, and down the back straight. And who will benefit into the bus stop? Rally Dutchy looking really racy in the Aston Martin.
And here we go. We're going to hand it off to me now. Allinson, you have Martino, Draws, Allinson, Dutchy, Sullivan, all fighting for this place. Sam Ward's like, thank God I got out of here. Contact between the 2 Porsches, and they're both out of the race. That's going to allow Sullivan. Oh, there's the KTM now. All of a sudden, spin party as carnage in the bus stop ensues. Oh, they were already spinning, and then Dr. Porkchop just helped out. The spiciness level of this race has gone up a notch to a counter of 10. Chaos looms large in the rookie. The rookies decided, you know what? No holds barred for round 2. As you had battle after battle after battle. Sug, Ramirez de Santiago, the podium from race 1 remains the same. Sam Morton finds himself in P5. Brandon Draws finds himself in 6th right now. And again, Thomas doesn't have, number 59, doesn't have the greatest amount of speed. But right now, they're just finding themselves in good positions because of all this carnage. He's already up to 14th, and he had a pit lane stop. Or pit lane start, sorry, mind you.
Yeah, really good. Always good to stick it out, and good to see that from Hezzy Thomas, despite the issues, joining back into this absolutely chaotic race. We're just 8 minutes into the contest. Oh, Moreira in the background going into the wall really heavily there. And I think now, while there's a slight break in the action, let's tune in on this onboard lap, and we will go helmet cam with Hezzy Thomas.
Oh my God, the wheel. Look at the shakiness of this wheel.
And this is what you get for the keyboard. You don't have the precise technical inputs. You're either at max or you're at 0. So it's really a balancing act of how many times you press it, or how hard and for how long you press it down to the right. And this is great car control from Hezzy Thomas, going up the hill through the S's in a part where it's very difficult to control the car, but he is doing it beautifully with the left and right arrow keys, or the A and the D on his keyboard, depending on which layout he prefers best to use. And now into the braking zone of the bus stop. Let's see how he handles it on the keyboard. Oh, just fine through the second part. The first part was a little bit sketchy there, trying to control the car, but he gets it nice and under control. And through the outer loop of turn 5, running a little bit wide, but all all under control from the 59 Camaro down the hill, sending a little bit of a drift in there. Fried Egg rating. Thank you so much, Mr. Fried Egg, for the support here. We are on an onboard lap with our keyboard warrior, Hezzy Thomas, in the 59 Camaro, going through the toe of the boot at turn number 7. Up the hill he goes before flattening out into the braking zone of turn number 8. Morico, thank you so much for the subscription. Been subscribed for 23 months, almost the 2-year mark. Next month will be a huge anniversary for you, Morico. Thanks for the support, and looking forward to seeing you out on track soon in the near future here. Hezzy Thomas, just a few corners to go on this onboard
Ramirez
lap.
to Santiago.
Yep, it's tuning. It's getting into a close battle between them at the top, and it looks like DeSantiago is taking the position. Just one lap to go. A slight bit of a drift here, and that is the onboard lap of our keyboard warrior. Let's take a look at how DeSantiago took this position.
All right, so here comes DeSantiago. We already has better straight line speed than the Porsche. That was going to be a given. That was just a necessary. Emmanuel Ramirez forcing DeSantiago wide, but that's not going to matter with the straight line speed and the power that the BMW had. It was just clinical. And DeSantiago will find himself in the second place that he couldn't get the last race. The Porsche kind of drifting on exit, but whatever the case may be. However, the Porsche is coming back at the BMW here. It's not all lost, as the 111 of Martino finds himself into the wall and into the pit lane. So possibly some damage for the 111, which is a little bit unfortunate because there was a little bit of a Porsche three-way battle there. And I think Martino was one of the drivers that ended up getting caught with, I think it was Allenson. So you're going to have that. You might have Hezzy Thomas finding himself another position, so that's going to be good for the keyboard warrior. And Emmanuel Ramirez now finds himself in the position that DeSantiago was in just moments before, standing behind.
Yeah, he sure is. He is right on the tail of the BMW, but not quite as close as he would like to send a move into turn 1. Just needs to keep the pressure on the BMW, running a little bit wide, but knowing he has that straight line speed advantage, he is not worried one bit. Going up the hill, this is the place with one of the most elevation changes on the track here at Watkins Glen. There's a total of 141 feet of elevation change from the highest to the lowest point, and that is one of them, from the low point of the S's to the high point. And now through the bus stop chicane, cutting across is Emmanuel Ramirez, taking a bit of an experimental line, but maybe he's done that before, and that was how he was practicing. I did see earlier him posting a lot of lap times in the practice server earlier, so he certainly knows his way around Watkins Glen, and this is where he is getting really close to the back of DeSantiago. He's lining up a move down the inside. Can DeSantiago hold the position around the outside? Ramirez is forcing him wide, and a bit of a wiggle of oversteer onto the grass goes the Porsche.
Oh my God,
DeSantiago controlling the BMW behind. He is able to retake second place unless Ramirez can sweep around the outside, and no, losing it out there, going onto the marbles, just running a little bit wide. Might have a look here into turn 9, but thinks the better of it. The BMW, though, running a little bit wide, can't quite get the power down, and the battle is really picking up here.
And you also had in the background, you had Shane Sullivan actually get past Brandon Draws, so that is going to be a top 5 for Sullivan, finding him back where he needed to be, especially after that massive, massive battle up ahead. And a better exit by Emmanuel Ramirez. However, that better exit's not really going to matter because it's a straight line. DeSantiago might want to defend the inside here. He might have a Porsche sticking up the inside, and he kind of does, kind of doesn't. He's got to focus on his exit, and he gets a much better one. So he should be able to just pull away from the Porsche, at least for a little bit, until they get into sector 2, where where he's gonna have a little bit of trouble based off of the Porsche's cornering speed. So let's see how far away he can get in this straight, as Shane Sullivan actually lost the position to Brandon Draws. Brandon Draws is being quite aggressive here, making sure Suggs on a whole nother level. Yeah, he's about 10 seconds off, because the other cars are battling. And that's, yeah, Brandon Draws is, despite this being his first race, is absolutely putting in the work.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned it earlier. Shane Sullivan did get past him on the previous lap, but the Ginetta able to sneak back through and get back into that top 5 position, chasing down Sam Warden, who finds himself in a really good top 5 position in 4th place after benefiting from the chaos behind and just kind of slipping on through, even though the Camaro has quite a big sized body on it, but still, you know, able to slip on through all the little cracks where it needed to and finds himself in a strong top 5 position. Draws doing the same in the smaller Ginetta. Shane Sullivan, unfortunately, getting bumped to the outside, maybe a little bit of damage as well, slowing the BMW, but still in a strong top 10 position and looking to get even higher with that top 5 position on the tail of the Ginetta in front.
He's got to use his straight line speed ability, and then there's, I was about to say, where's the KTM? I genuinely didn't see him beside, because I saw it was Lane Cloud. I saw it was the KTM. I'm like, where's the KTM? Genuinely, it was behind the Mercedes. It's that small and that compact that I genuinely couldn't see it behind the Mercedes. That's actually insane. Yeah. And this KTM is not gonna be able to get past the Mercedes here in this next set of straight lines.
No, yeah, sorry. I was just confirming. Yeah, I almost thought there was a bit of a glitch there. I couldn't quite see where that KTM was, but it was just tucked in right on the bumper of the Mercedes in front, and they are going to battle it out for this position just outside the top 10. And Vicente Moreira, starting from last on the grid, able to improve in his Porsche to that final top 10 position in front.
Wade Jorgensen goes a little bit wide. That's going to allow the KTM to get down and possibly take 11th place. Oh, that's going to be an incident. That actually could have been a whole lot worse. But that is major front end damage for Wade Jorgensen. So yeah, unfortunate for him.
Yeah, Wade Jorgensen in that 707, not able to take the outside line and onto the grass, kicking out the rear end, going into the barrier on the outside of the track. And unfortunately, pretty hefty amount of damage with that, that front end of the hood getting kicked up on the Mercedes. And our good friend Eric will certainly not like to see one of the AMGs dropping like that. Joe Allenson right on the tail of Dr. Porkchop. Alpine versus Porsche. You're not going to hide a Porsche behind that Alpine, so there's no trick work from the cameras on this lap between the Porsche and the Alpine. The Alpine certainly very strong through the twisty sections around Watkins Glen, but the Porsche is a good all-around vehicle through the straights and through the corners, and Joe Allenson will look to make up as many places as he possibly can after getting a strong top 3 start in qualifying, but just not able to convert those during either of the race here tonight.
Sadly not. I mean, he just missed out on a podium position P4, which is unfortunate, but then just got caught in a massive battle that just seemingly never ended for like the first 10 minutes of this. It's always either the first 10 or the last 10 that's always the most exciting when it comes to the rookies. So a lot of action in the first 10 minutes. Definitely could probably tell from both of our voices that we were starting to lose it, because it just did not seem like it was going to end. But so far, Dr. Porkchop, again, in a not so great position in P10, finds themselves in a quite decent position now up to P8. Now, mind you, this might be P9 by the time Joe Allenson has something to say about it, and he is catching. They're both actually catching Shane Sullivan and Rally Dutchy up ahead. But Allenson thinking the better of it, not wanting to get too much into a situation, and fighting the Alpine in this part is actually somehow working, because normally the Alpine's much better in the corners than they are in the straights.
Yeah, the Alpine just carrying the corner speed, but the Porsche just has that really good brake advantage, and unfortunately the BMW, like you mentioned, is just dropped back down into 7th place behind Rally Dutchy, and side by side into turn number 8 they go. As the race director says, 1 lap to go, 1 lap left after these two cross the line to determine who will be 8th and who will be 9th between Dr. Porkchop and Joe Allenson. Currently, Porkchop holding off 8th place in the little Alpine from the top 3 starter. Joe Allenson running a little bit wide, and they're going side by side into the final corner. The Alpine has the inside line, but the over and under from Joe Allenson. Will he have the straight line speed advantage to take the Alpine into turn number 1? Let's see if he can do it. So far, so good. The Alpine, amazing cornering speed, able to hang it there, but not quite close enough and not able to keep it within the track limits, having to back out of it. And good move, strong outside to in cut from Joe Allenson down the start finish straight to get the move done on the Alpine. Bumps the wall though, going through the S's, and this might still go Porkchop's way as the lap concludes.
It might. It just might, but I don't think it will unless Allenson has a crazy off right here, right now. I say that. Someone else has actually got... Oh, he almost did, actually. Almost. I almost got him. I almost had that man. But thankfully, he does not. And Shane Sullivan had a little bit of an off there as... found himself in a little bit of a grasp, but I think he might be okay. Allenson is flirting with danger as he gets close to the track's edge, especially after my comments. But when was there ever a doubt Colin Sugg will get the Watkins Glen sleep? Oh my God, I'm tired. The Watkins Glen rookies sweep as he wins both race 1 and race number 2. Congratulations to the number 34 of the Sugg Racing, finds himself in P1 this time. This race was never in doubt with the lead that he found. Brian DeSantiago will take the P2 he was chasing in race number 1, and Emmanuel find himself in 3rd place. The podium sitters do not really change. The top 3 remains the same as Emmanuel Ramirez goes for a freaking death spiral. Sam Morton and Brandon Draws find themselves 4th and 5th respectively. Rally Dutchy with an amazing performance goes P6. Oh, that could have been disastrous if Joe Allenson found the wall, but they did not. Sullivan 7th, Allenson 8th. Porkchop 9th, Vicente Morera finding themselves inside the top 10. Very good for him. The KTM finding themselves in 11th, Saunderson 12th, Jorgensen 13th, Dolly 14th, and Mr. Keyboard Warrior himself, Thomas, will find himself in 15th place. And then Rob Marichik will find themselves in the pit lane, sadly, in around last place.
And one thing to point out, all of these drivers are on more or less the lead lap. So that just shows you how tight this rookies field is. No one dropped back far enough to get lapped on this occasion, and no one, you know, it was absolutely fantastic racing from start to finish from everybody. And let's finish with an onboard from our favorite keyboard warrior, Hezzy Thomas in the 59, taking the checkered flag, and that will be race 2 concluded. Marcinek in the pits, and we will have to wait for this cooldown timer to go off as the fireworks go for the leader. Colin Sugg able to maintain his advantage from start to finish in both race 1 and race 2 from pole position, taking the checkered flag first, and he absolutely dominated at the Glen here tonight.
Absolute dominance. Absolute dominance by Colin Sugg. Well, can't wait to hear from him in the interview room. And we actually already have someone in the interview room waiting. He's doing donuts on a keyboard. That's incredible. And just to make matters even better, the Leafs score to make it 4-1. So I am very, very, very happy right now. Just please, for the love of the Lord, Leafs, do not blow the 3-goal lead, please. I ask and beg of you kindly. And we're still waiting for the screen to show up. Shall we bring in our podium sitters? Because it's the same 3 people.
It is going to be the same 3. Let's just wait for the final official results to go through. Make things official on the complete standings. Hopefully it'll happen soon, but we'll just have to wait and see. But nonetheless, there they go. Colin Slug on top, DeSantiago in second, Ramirez in third, Sam Warden in fourth, Draws fifth, Dutchy sixth, Sullivan in seventh, Allenson eighth, Dr. Porkchop in ninth, Moreira with a good finish in the top 10 in 10th, Cloud in 11th, Saunderson 12th, Georgeson 13th, Daly 14th. Thomas is the last of those to take the checkered flag. We lost Marcinek, Martino, Stand, Dret, Matroni, and Chronotis joined and left at one point, but nonetheless, that is race 2, and let's hit it to you for the interviews, Tyler.
All right, let's bring in our podium sitters. We'll just bring them all in because that's just kind of the new way we like to do things here now. First, we'll bring in DeSantiago. Then next, we're going to bring in Emmanuel. We're going to bring in Colin Sugg. Congratulations to all three of you. The podium sweep is yours. We'll start with DeSantiago with the third in the first race and the second in the second race. Talk to me how that race was, especially since you got to deal with the craziness that was race number 2.
Oh, man. Honestly, a lot of fun. Better said, I don't even have words for it. The funny thing is I was speaking to these guys about pretty much the side-by-side action that I was having, just a little bit of rough racing, but hey, it doesn't hurt too much, especially in that turn. But overall, very fun. I saw people making mistakes, and I just took advantage of them and started pretty much making my way through that pack from, I believe, 5th or 6th all the way to pretty much 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, it was definitely. I don't know how much you got to see of the second battle, but after you left it somehow continued on. So probably lucky you got away from that. Emmanuel Ramirez, what is it like to be chased down by DeSantiago for the entirety of the 40 minutes?
Man, no, Santiago is a great driver, man. He's pretty fast, and man, he's sweating. I mean, every time that I'm fighting with Santiago, it's a crazy race. It's a lot of work to do. Especially in this race, I make a lot of mistakes. Yeah, man. As I told you, I'm sitting. This guy is pretty fast. Also, Colin Sock, congratulations for the podium. And hopefully, we are gonna have a good battle in next race in Bartus. So it's gonna be really nice.
Now, this is kind of a question for both of you, and you can decide who answers. DeSantiago, and with you having the BMW, you kind of have the straight line speed advantage, and then Ramirez, you in the Porsche have the kind of cornering advantage. So there's a bit of an advantage in Sector 1 for DeSantiago, and then kind of Sector 2, it's Ramirez, and then 3, you're kind of the same. So do you kind of plan your overtakes and try to do it when you know you have the advantage in the sector?
Oh yeah. For sure. For sure. Ramirez had me sweating, like he said. But continue, Ramirez.
No, man. I mean, I was trying to tag Santiago, man, but that BMW is pretty fast, man. It was flying a lot. I mean, in the straight after the first, in the first sector, he was a second and 2.2 in front of me in every straight. So it was really hard to make a good battle on that straights. And when I tagged him in the hairpin, it was risky all for a position. It was a desesperated move. It kinda works, but I lost the control in the rear. So yeah, I mean that BMW is pretty fast in the straights.
Yeah, I don't know how fast Ramiro's going on the straight, but I'll tell you this, I've probably reached 157. But
Holy.
Ramirez had me also sweating in the corners because I just saw him get slowly closer and closer to my rear mirror. I was sweating with that interaction.
Yeah, you can figure out that, man. I was hitting in the longest straight. I was hitting 242. That was the top speed. So it was totally chaos for the Porsche in the straights.
Now, Colin Sugg, you kind of had a pretty uneventful day. You just kind of had to get through turn 1, and then ta-da, the race win is yours. So, kind of talk that through to me.
Well, This is my first win with you guys, so I'm super happy. This is obviously my best track. I love this track, and I just try to keep it as smooth and consistent as possible.
Yeah, that definitely did smooth as possible. Definitely seemed like a fucking sorry. Let a little bit of a swear go through there. That's my apologies, folks. You definitely seemed like not even a clue to be had there. The first race you didn't win by much, but the second race you absolutely just threw caution to the wind and just won by like 15 seconds. How do you not get bored so far up front?
I wanted my purple lap on the second race. I was a little bit more comfortable. Santiago took that from me, so I wanted the purple as well.
Yeah, I think that most of that time it was like when I was fighting with Santiago, we lost a lot of time together fighting.
Yeah, I was telling Snug a little bit earlier before we joined up. Like I just tried to catch up with him, but once we hit that corner section, I just saw the seconds just increase further on, with no hope.
Yeah, we were battling all the races, both races. Like for 30 or 40 minutes that it was the races we were battling, so we were losing a lot of time.
Yeah, I made the risky move of both races, had no CC at all, and I was able to thankfully not crash.
I was waiting for you crash in race 1, man, because I was running TC0 also. So I was waiting for you crashing. It was like, okay, I'm gonna get P1. I'm not gonna get desperate. But when the second race started, I was like, fuck, man, again.
Green light.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I start pushing too hard, and I made a lot of mistakes, man. It was impossible to catch you.
Yeah, for the first time, I didn't make many mistakes. That I'm always the mistake guy, so it was a nice change of pace.
Well, thank you all. Thanks for the three of you for joining in for this, and congratulations again on the podium. You guys swept it clean, and Sug, you swept the races clean. Now, if you can win in the open, I will actually lose my mind.
I'm about to get humbled so fast. Rivera's in here.
Yeah, we're gonna get so humbled.
All right, have fun, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Congrats and good luck in the race ahead we have here tonight. And yeah, good luck in the final round as well. One race to go in the championship here on Mondays on the GT4 rookies, and of course the Open Championship. Their qualifying has just begun. Let's head down to the track and see what the action is all about down there for round 7 of the GT4 Open Championship. We've got Justin Beachley out on track, and it looks like the server just decided to crash. What happened there? Everybody's loading back in. Everybody's back out on track. Yeah, that was super odd, wasn't it?
Not something you normally see there.
Yeah, they were like completely normal the entire time we were interviewing with them, and then as soon as we hop over to you guys in the chat and on the stream here, it decides to do that. But they're still rolling out on track here. This is their outlaps, I do believe, just 2 minutes into the 20-minute qualifying session. No split between the evens and the odds. Everybody is able to go out for the entirety of the session to try and set their fastest lap to determine the grid order for the 50-minute race we have ahead of us.
I was about to say, all the rookies kind of just sitting in the pits right now, though. They kind of just... You said no split, and I'm sitting here like, there's a split between drivers in the Open and drivers who just also did the rookies. So, like, you are technically correct that there is no split, but it literally looks like a split right now. But nevertheless, we move on, and we continue on. As Beachley heads around in that Beach GT, a man that looks to try and get some podiums, but it solely depends on the day. And I am happy today, because as you see on your screens, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Ricardo Rivera, is back on our screens. This man, whenever he races, does not lose a race. So, I'm hoping for a lovely Ricardo Rivera race win once again.
Yeah, he certainly has been dominant all championship long, all season long, and the season before as well in these GT4 machines in the 787 McLaren. He might be one of the first to cross the line with a valid lap here. So let's ride on board with the Puerto Rico E-Racing Club driver for his remaining 2 corners. Turn number 10 here, a very quick, just a lift, maybe a slight tap of the brake. Oh, and he runs a little bit wide, and I think that's going to invalidate his first flying lap attempt. But like we mentioned in the rookies qualifying, there is a bit of a warm-up window in these GT4 machines before they get started, and Neil Kerbel is able to set the first valid lap of the qualifying session for the drivers to chase down. It is a 153.857. Torres across the line in second, Velez in third. Up next, Justin Beachley across the line in fourth place, and then Austin Doyle, rookie graduate from last season, up into third place, about 1 second off of the pole position time of Neil Kerbel.
What car is that for the number 40? I've never seen that before.
That is the Maserati.
I have never in my world seen that car, like, ever. And also that last name, Polyakov? Did I say that right? Because that definitely feels like Russian.
Yep, it's Russian, Ukrainian, Eastern European.
Honestly, sounds like a Gran Turismo car.
Yeah, or just, you know, descendant of one. Nonetheless, happy to have you here, Nikolai, joining in the Open for the final couple of races. Very beautiful livery on that Maserati, running just a tad wide into the final corner. Let's see what time the Maserati can put on the board. The number 40 goes up to the line and takes provisional pole. A 1:53.627 is the time for the drivers to chase down.
Let's see if the man, the myth, the legend himself can put a time on the board that is representative enough of his stature. Avoids topping the wall, but makes sure to get a great exit. And that is going to be the 395 of Kerbel behind. And Ricardo Rivera, absolutely. And I thought the time by the Maserati was quick. Ricardo Rivera pulls another 4/10 off of the Maserati and says, you know what? This is my territory. And that's Ramon Torres pulling over, most likely to get some new fresh tires on that ride.
Yeah, some fresh tires for Torres in the McLarens. The McLaren, the more popular choice this evening among the Open drivers. The Porsche, pretty strong contender for second. But nonetheless, the McLaren out on top from the Maserati, from the 2 McLarens behind. And then Austin Doyle here, not quite able to improve, or he was able to improve his lap on his last go around, but not able to improve his position just yet. Needs about a 10th, and he will improve past Ramon Torres. Needs about another 8/10 to improve past Neil Kerbel, who currently sits in third place. Brian DeSantiago joining us in the interview room just a few minutes ago. Now out on track, the very talented multi-talented, I should say, from driving to interviewing and back to driving in a heartbeat, just like that. The 777 BMW has a lap time on the board, about 2 seconds off of the pole position pace here in the Open, and the Maserati able to improve to a 52.9.
Well then, looks like Ricardo Rivera has some competition on his hands, because that is a absolutely beautiful time set by the Maserati driver of Polyakov. And wow, just when you thought it could not get done, it somehow gets done. DeSantiago starting to struggle a little bit, and it's not even the race yet, he's qualifying, so just getting the jitters off of that interview out of the, making sure that he can get a good quality time in. Now, I do feel bad a little bit for the rookies, because you you've especially for DeSantiago and Sugg, who've come out like Sugg gets a rookie's win sweep. Oh, Martino's ahead of both of them. That's not something I thought I would see.
Yeah,
Where was this pace before?
Martino did have some pretty strong race pace, just unfortunately getting involved in a few incidents in the few races, but he was on for a pretty strong top 5 finish in both of them before the huge kind of train of cars. The huge train of cars there had the big battles and Martino just not being able to get through cleanly, but did show really strong pace throughout the entirety of the 2 races. And Alex Freeman here in the Open Series, currently in the top 10 position, sits in 14th place in ninth place in the AF Sport, number 14, getting my position confused with the number here tonight. So much action before here in the rookies race. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Polyakov has set some LFM hot laps that are used for BOP. Wow. Wow. Ricardo Rivera might have a chance. Folks, that is some insider information that is insane to know.
Yeah, it'll be a really good comparison, Mark, for the likes of Rivera and Kerbal, who have been battling it out all season long between themselves in the 2 McLarens. A couple of other drivers getting involved in the mix there as well. Colin Sugg with a really strong top 5 qualifying lap here, coming from the rookies and sliding his 34 Porsche ahead of Austin Doyle in 6th. Eric Velez currently in 7th, Beachley in 8th, Alex Freeman here in 9th place. Colin Sugg drifting there, and we've got a subscriber here, the Tall Guy Gamer. Thank you very much for the support here at Trackalicious. Thank you all for joining us tonight for the rookies, and now we have the Open Series round 8 for them. Colin Sugg running wide and going into the wall, and that is gonna be his qualifying lap done at the final corner. But luckily for him, we were just over the halfway mark of the qualifying, so he has plenty of time to put on some new tires, get some more fuel in the car, and go around again.
Definitely has some time. There's still 9 minutes left to go. Ramon Torres, kind of the not the worst of the best, but he is out of the stronger tiered McLarens, currently sitting 1.3 seconds back of the provisional pole time. Probably wants to find himself up where Neil Kerbal is, probably within about 7 to 8 tenths of that provisional pole lap. Thank you, Oh No Noodles. Have a great night. Make sure you drink some water. Prevent that hangover you got that you might have coming your way. Ramon Torres off into that part of the ankle we go as the car drives away from the camera and then reappears on a different camera. You want to make sure you maybe cut a little bit of this inside curb. Use all the track up on exit. The McLaren, not so much of a corner merchant, but absolutely a straight line beast when it matters the most. And get a little bit of a burst of it here. A little bit of a tiny lag. Ooh, I don't know if he stayed legal there. That's going to be tight to see as Ramon Torres flashes that McLaren by your screens, and down the line they come. Can there be an improvement? No, there will not be. 5 tenths over what their personal best.
Yeah, and unfortunately invalid as well after crossing the curbs on the exit of turn number 10. Alex Freeman, the only car on track on a flying valid lap nearing the end of it. So let's ride on board this time with the Aston Martin and see what view he has for us here tonight. Approaching the heel of the boot before shooting up the slight bit of hill change before or between turn 8 and 9, and the camber breaking away from the driver here going up the hill. Very hard to get the power down, but Alex Freeman able to do it perfectly in his Aston Martin. Just 2 corners to go as he approaches the start-finish line, able to maintain it within track limits before putting the power down, charging down that start-finish straight, getting as close as he can to that wall, maybe just brushing it on the exit. And is he able to improve his time? He is not, just by a couple of hundredths of a second.
Sadly, not an improvement by the undercut merchant of Alex Freeman, known for his undercuts in the race, pretty much almost pitting lap 1. Ricardo Rivera has yet to beat that time set by the Maserati of Polyakov, so he's going to have to do a little bit more work if he's going to want to beat that time. And he's got to find 3/10. That's crazy. Kerbal has closed the gap between Ricardo Rivera. He's found himself at 2/10 away from Ricardo Rivera, but that is just an absolute mega time set by the Maserati, and he hasn't even come out. He literally hasn't even driven again. Yeah. He's that confident, I guess.
Yeah, he's a confident man at the moment with that time of a 52.935. Justin Beachley across the line. This, I believe, was his first outlap, so maybe the tire's just not quite up to their perfect operating window, as he is, in fact, actually going to pull off to the side of the road here and return to the garage next to the Maserati there at near the exit of the pit lane. Let's tune in with the professor himself, Professor Chronotis, in the number 42 McLaren. Again, the McLaren, a very popular choice from the top to the bottom of the grid here. Chronotis currently in 13th, 4.9 seconds off of pole position. And let's see if this is a flying lap. It sure is, and he was able to improve on his time. Now just 2.4 seconds off of pole, moving up into 12th. Needs another half a second to get to De Santiago in 11th place.
So actually, while we have this, Ramon Torres and Beachley have the same time. Sugg is 5 thousandths off their time. And then Doyle is 25 thousandths off their time. So the gap between 4th and 7th is very minuscule.
Yeah, that is a very good point to note out. Yeah, nothing separating Ramon Torres and Justin Beachley, and a little bit more than nothing, but pretty much as close to nothing as you can get without being nothing, to Colin Sugg and Austin Doyle in the 2 Porsches in 6th and 7th at the moment. Velez in 8th, not too far off either, and another 10th, and he is right there in that mix. And same with Alex Freeman, needs a couple more tenths to get involved in that fight between 4th and 7th place. Chronotis here, unfortunately, well, what happened there? Chronotis returning to the pits. It looked like for a moment there, maybe just a disconnection. Don't see him actually back in the pits. So hopefully all is well with that McLaren machine as he is able to return to the qualifying session. Dr. Porkchop coming from the rookies races into the Open Series in the lone Alpine on the grid. Currently in 13th, has Chronotis in front and Wade Georgeson behind in a bit of a McLaren sandwich.
Yeah, definitely. He is actually out on track. Right. He's disappeared, reappeared, disappeared, reappeared. Ricardo Rivera still hasn't beaten that time yet. So, what time is the? Oh, it's still at 2:04. That was definitely just a kind of a practice lap. Now, it'll take about as you can see, the best times are around 1:55 for these drivers to get around the track. So some time for the drivers who have just crossed the line to do another lap. You see Colin Sugg in the background, currently sitting 6th, needs to improve by just even a hair to find himself inside the top 5. But a lot of these drivers out on some good flying laps as it stands right now, as you have Chronotis going through the bus stop, getting a little bit of dirt in his face, from the car up ahead. That would be the number 18 of Beachley, throwing some sand, throwing some dirt into Professor Cornelius' face to try and almost distract him while in qualifying. That's a little bit rude.
Yeah, certainly not what you want to see out in qualifying, as the 707 goes to the line to take another lap. That was Wade Georgeson up ahead of Professor Chronotis here. The number 11 of Austin Doyle also just ahead in the final sector, looking to improve from 7th place. And like you said, even a couple of hundredths of an improvement will jump Austin Doyle all the way from 7th to 4th place. So this could really be a crucial couple of laps here for Austin Doyle in the number 11 Porsche to try and get down, brushing the wall, it looked like, or as close as you can get without touching it, up to the line, not able to improve. If he is able to improve by how much he lost there, he will jump Ramon Torres in 4th place. But of course, they are also out on track trying to improve their times as well. Justin Beachley just across the line, not able to improve on that attempt in the Mercedes. We'll have just one lap to go as we have 30 seconds left in the qualifying session before the checkered flag waves.
The 181's going to be next to the line. That's going to be Ramon Torres. No improvement from him next to of this qualifying session. Currently, Polyakov, Martino, and Dutchy will not participate in the end of this qualifying session. Then you have Ricardo Rivera pulling ever so closer to Polyakov, but just not enough. He's got one more opportunity. The 88 of Velez is going to be next to cross the line. He is going to be the last driver to cross the line. The 71 of Dr. Porkchop will be the first driver to capture the checkered flag, and sadly Velez immediately invalidates off of turn 1. You have Dr. Porkchop sitting in 13th. Freeman elects not to continue his flying lap. He is done with that. Next across the line will be the number 11 of Austin Doyle. He is looking fractions, and I mean fractions of a time, to just move up 3 places.
Yeah, one of those drivers he was chasing down was Ramon Torres, but he is now in the pits, currently in the lead of this 4-car battle within 2 hundredths of a second of each other. Austin Doyle up to the line. Can he improve just that slightest bit? Unfortunately, he's not able to do so. And just behind him, Brian DeSantiago, coming from the rookies, finding himself in the top 10, taking that final top 10 position at the moment. Justin Beachley across the line, also not able to improve, currently in 5th place. And Colin Sugg also not able to improve in that battle between 4th, 5th, and 6th, so they will stay the same way that they are. Alex Freeman able to improve, gets to within another couple of hundredths of a second to that battle for 7th place. Velez in 9th, DeSantiago in 10th, and that is the qualifying session complete in round 7 of the Open Series around Watkins Glen.
What a qualifying session. Ricardo Rivera not on pole position. This is a weird simulation.
Yeah, he's still on that top row, and it certainly showed that he has the pace to be there with the Maserati in front. The first time we've seen the Maserati on the grid in a while. A bit of a screen glitch there. Not sure what's going on here tonight, but hopefully everybody can maintain their position out on track. And let's remind ourselves here of the starting grid. Nikolai Polyakov in the number 40, starting from pole position, getting in or crossing that 53 barrier just into the 52s. The only driver to do so in the session. Joining him on the front row will be Ricardo Rivera of Puerto Rico E-Racing Club, the 787, as Jake Wells with a subscription Thanks so much, Jake, for all the support, and looking forward to seeing you racing out here as well at some point, hopefully in the near future. Always fun to see you out on track. And thanks again for the 27 months of continuous support. Much thanks, my friend. Always fun to chat with you on the podium interviews as well. Neil Kerbal will line up in the second row in third place in the Kerbal race program. The 395 McLaren will be in a McLaren sandwich, 3 of them in a row. Ramon Torres in the 181 starts in fourth place. Justin Beachley in the Beach GT, the Cat livery, the number 18, starts from fifth place. Colin Sugg, a very good qualifying session from the rookie, carrying over his performance from the 2 rookies races before, will start in 6th place, just outside the top 5. Austin Doyle, the second Porsche on the grid, the number 11, the Doyle Mo Sport machine, lines up in 7th place. He has Alex Freeman for company in the first and only, or no, sorry, just the first Aston Martin on the grid here tonight. The number 14 starts from 8th place. Eric Velez in the PREC number 88 Camaro. This is the one and only Camaro on the grid this evening, just inside the top 10. Brian DeSantiago also carrying over from the rookies race earlier. Podium sitter in the 777 BMW will start just inside the top 10 in that final top 10 position. Valerio Martino, also from the rookies race, looking to have a more consistent race here this evening in the 111, lines up in 11th. Lots of ones for the Porsche. Austin Doyle, 2 ones. Valerio Martino in 11th with the 111. Then Professor Chronotis is in 12th place in the 42 Trackalicious LSR 24-hour McLaren, with Dr. Porkchop for company in the 71 Alpine. The Chop Shop Racing has Wade Georgeson joining this time in the McLaren in the 707. Rally Dutchy will start from 15th in the Mad Fox 621 Aston Martin. We didn't have any predictions from you, Tyler, in the last race. Would you like to do any for the Open tonight?
That's a risk that you are really... I think Ricardo Rivera will still win. That's a prediction.
I like
That's
it.
more of a spoiler and more of a prediction. Colin Sugg or Doyle will finish on the podium. And then you'll find DeSantiago inside the top 5. I think.
All right.
I think.
Strong prediction from the rookies and the recent rookie graduates here from Tyler. We'll see what happens. It's a long race in the Open, not 2 20-minute sprints like the rookies have. A bit more of an endurance style stint with that pit stop in between as well. For fuel, it is a 25-second fixed fuel timer, and then it is up to the drivers to decide whether they want to take fresh tires or not add any time to their pit stop and continue on the tires that they were already on. We've seen plenty of different strategies unfold throughout the race. Alex Freeman, Tyler alluded to earlier, likes to take that early pit stop and undercut the field for some fresh air in front and pump those clean laps in while the rest of the field is battling in front. So it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the field decides to do here.
Definitely a situation where Watkins Glen isn't as bad on tires as one might think, but we saw last week, especially at Snetterton, how important that tire advantage is late in the race.
Yeah, especially we've seen it plenty of times throughout the year where the alternate strategy between the two drivers, where one does take the fresh tire and one doesn't, it usually turns out to be the benefit to take that fresh tire advantage. And so we'll certainly be interesting to see how it plays out here. in round 7 around Watkins Glen in the GT4 Open Series, the penultimate round of the spring season. The drivers getting lined up 2 by 2 in zipper formation from 1st to 15th. No pit lane starts, nobody serving any penalties in this round here this evening. The last corner of the formation lap before the start finish straight. This is what it looks like from the rear wing of the pole sitter. Let's see who will get the better jump here into turn number 1. The green lights release our drivers this evening for 50 minutes of action. Justin Beachley getting a good start in 5th place. Ricardo Rivera gonna sweep around the outside of the Maserati. The Maserati covering off the line very well, but Ricardo Rivera hanging it in there in the Maserati. Doesn't quite hit the apex, running onto the marbles. This might give Neil Kerbel an opportunity to run in, or not run into Ricardo Rivera, to have a run at Ricardo Rivera, but he tags the wall. Ricardo Rivera getting the slipstream of the Maserati in front, and the top 3 are gonna remain the same as we enter the bus stop chicane for the first time. Ramon Torres keeping Justin Beachley behind. Austin Doyle gets a good start. Colin Sugg unfortunately losing a few places from the beginning, just dropping back into 8th place. Eric Velez not too far off. De Santiago dropping back in the BMW. Chronotis with a really good start, moving up into 11th place.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a fun time there. Kind of you had Kerbel really wanting Ricardo Rivera before the bus stop, but just couldn't get it. Ricardo Rivera defended the inside, split back out, and then defended the place again. So, little bit of a fancy moves there. So we'll see how that rolls out. All in the long run, that contact with the wall might prove a little bit, especially if you do tapping the wall every so often. Those damages will pile up, and then you have Ricardo Rivera still chasing down that Maserati. Seemingly the straight line speed of the McLaren will end up overpowering the Maserati. It just can't seem it, but the Maserati apparently is an absolute beast in the corners from what I see by Grumpy Gamer here. So Ricardo Rivera may catch up on this straight, but he's going to have work defending him, especially in that Sector 2 set.
Yeah, 100%. The straight line speed advantage of the McLaren looking really promising here as they are almost bumper to bumper going through turn 3, up the hill into the back straight. Ricardo Rivera has the outside into the bus stop, but can he do it? He does! Polyakov just dives back and gives Ricardo Rivera the move to the outside. He himself is running over the curbs pretty heavily in the Maserati, but he is still right on the tail of Ricardo Rivera, who manages to sweep around the outside into the race lead down the back straight before the bus stop chicane.
What a move. The straight line speed of the McLaren is just absolutely dominant. And even the Maserati, which is known for its cornering speed, just can't seem to get the McLaren. It's just absolutely criminal how good this McLaren is right now, especially the straight line. Its other dominance, as you can even see with 3 McLarens inside the top 4. And Ricardo Rivera definitely is going to have his work cut out, but Neil Kerbel is definitely looking at Polyakov saying, hey, I'd like P2 now, please. I'd like to battle my rival.
Yeah, certainly. We've seen the 2 McLarens go at it between each other all season long. The 787 out in front on this occasion, currently taking the lead on this lap from the number 40 Maserati, who has to defend from the 2 McLarens of Neil Kerbel and Ramon Torres behind. Colin Sugg able to recover back to the position that he started, but he is under pressure from fellow Porsche driver Austin Doyle, sending it down the inside of turn 1. Porsche versus Porsche. Austin Doyle gets the advantage into turn 1, but can he keep it as there's cars going side by side? That's Eric Velez and Alex Freeman, excuse me, going side by side up the hill through the S's. Who will benefit there? Austin Doyle taking to the inside. The Porsches go side by side for 6th place. Austin Doyle takes the position away more comfortably this time around as he sweeps through. Eric Velez defending behind, and it looks like there was a little bit of contact from Brian DeSantiago and Professor Chronotis, but Chronotis now goes into the top 10, sweeping through the BMW of DeSantiago.
What a move. DeSantiago really wanted the outside there, but just couldn't get it done. So the BMW versus McLaren in a straight line speed battle is definitely not a battle that you expect. Sorry, folks, it's about 10 Eastern now, and my broadcasting butt has been up since 6 in the morning, so I'm a little bit of a tired boy. But as you can sense right now, the top 4 is still very close to one another. Ricardo Rivera is kind of building a gap with Polyakov, kind of getting away, but Kerbal and Torres are still definitely within respawn distance.
Oh yeah, they sure are. Everybody keeping it close between the top 4. They're separated by just about 2 seconds from 1st to 4th place. So it is very, very close. It could go any which way, and of course the pit stops have still yet to come during this sunset race at 6 p.m. local time in the game, and the sun might play a factor, blinding the drivers in a couple of corners as the time progresses on. Ricardo Rivera able to take the lead from 2nd place. Polyakov dropping from pole position into 2nd. Kerbal maintains in 3rd place. Torres likewise remains in 4th place. Justin Beachley just dropping back a little bit, and Eric Velez and Colin Sugg are battling it out now for 7th and 8th place. Velez on the previous lap under pressure from Alex Freeman, now pressuring the Porsche of Sugg in front. Eric Velez still trying to get on the bumper of the Porsche here, but just not quite able to do it just yet as they enter the boot, going through the toe. Very important to get the power down early as you go up the hill. A bit of a slide from Colin Sugg up in front in this battle between the Porsches for 6th and then Velez behind. Alex Freeman is not too far off either. He will certainly try to pick up any of the scraps that are left from this battle in front.
There are some scraps to be had indefinitely. Professor Granotis actually pits early. Now, he must have damage because he's not getting out of the pits very quickly. He's at risk of being lapped here. And I don't know how long the pit stop is here, but that seems a little bit long. Even if he was at the back of the grid and he wasn't that far away, he was P10. So maybe did something occur?
Yeah, not sure. I remember when we were tuned into the battle, there was some sort of camera glitch moment that occurred, so maybe he just had some sort of disconnection issue. Because yeah, you're certainly right, he has been stationary for quite some time, but it could also be that he picked up a bit of damage somewhere in the lap, as there is really not a lot of runoff at Watkins Glen. There's a bit of grass, but the barriers do come up pretty quick after that grass section, so not too much room for the drivers to play with. The Maserati drifting it through the outer loop corner of turn 5, trying desperately to get the power down to stay within closing distance of Ricardo Rivera in the lead of the race. The Maserati not quite giving up the pressure behind as Austin Doyle falls back to Colin Sugg. Let's see if we can take a quick look and capture what happened here on the replay.
So going through this replay here, you have Austin.
Oh,
good save Good save indeed. Yeah, he would have had to definitely lose a place there in order for that to occur. So, still better than ending up in the wall or spinning sideways. So, losing a place to save your car, I think that's an okay trade for Mikuja.
Oh, 100%, still alive in the race, and these Porsches have been battling it out all race long. Austin Doyle seeming to have the better race pace, even though Colin Sugg qualified. I believe Colin Sugg qualified in a higher position, so that's a really good performance from the driver carrying out in the rookies, but he runs a little bit wide, can't quite get the apex speed that he wants, and this might be advantage Austin Doyle again to the inside of turn 1, a very popular move for Austin Doyle. Can he keep the speed? Forces the fellow Porsche driver wide, and Eric Velez is licking his lips. He is looking to take full advantage of both of these Porsches battling in the 88 Camaro. Might have the straight line speed through the back straight and into the bus stop. They're going to go side by side. Austin Doyle on the inside, Velez on the inside. Who will be better on the brakes? Austin Doyle takes to the inside, but again, hops across the curbs. We've seen it on the last lap. Eric Velez on 2 wheels, and it is absolute chaos. Alex Freeman going wide, 5 cars in 1 corner here. Who will benefit here? Eric Velez for a moment was in front, but now Austin Doyle still in front, and there's 2 cars going side by side. Colin Sugg once again sweeping through the inside, takes back 7th place.
This battle just seems to be never ending, and then you had De Santiago actually get past Freeman in the midst of all this chaos. Austin Doyle is just like, can I please get away from this? But the Camaro, the other Porsche, a BMW, and an Aston Martin go, I'm sorry, sir, no, I can't have you just yet. And then De Santiago goes wide. That might lose the place out to Freeman, as currently it is now 4-3 for Toronto, so the lead is being currently blown as we speak, so that's going to make me sad, but not as sad as De Santiago will be if he loses this place out to Alex Freeman. But so far, Velez is just getting raw dogged by these Porsches, which seem to just he catches them, but then they just get away.
Yeah, it seems to happen, especially through the cornering speed advantage of the Porsches, as Alex Freeman, notable for taking those early pit stops, dives in to the pits just 12 minutes into the race, so he will be carrying plenty of fuel with him for the remainder of the contest. But we know this is a popular strategy from him. Valerio Martino are also in the pits. Velez picking up the straight line speed on the Porsches, but Colin Sugg defending the inside well. He is looking to take advantage of any mistake Austin Doyle makes in front. We've seen him do it once through the bus stop, almost a second time on 2 laps in a row. But on this occasion, Austin Doyle maintains the position out in front.
Yep. Positive thoughts from Velez. You can get both of these drivers. You know you can. And you found yourself ahead of them before. And just as I say that, you're going to get past at least one, because that is Mr. Doyle going wide in through the tip of the boot, finding himself now behind the Camaro, it seems. And is he going to elect for a move inside? No, he's not. He's just going to wait patiently, knowing that he can probably get by this Camaro again. But right now, as it stands right now, the only driver to have done their pit stop fully is Freeman. There's only been about less than 15 minutes in this race session, so still plenty of time to go. So you have to be careful and calculated when you make these overtakes, especially with there being so much time left on the clock to go. So here comes Austin Doyle. The Camaro will have a better straight line speed advantage over that Porsche, but that Porsche is getting a lovely slipstream, but so is Velez. So it's kind of like a 50-50 counter almost in that way. So what can Velez do? Is he's definitely going to gain on Colin Sugg up in front, but can he importantly get past him to find some space and get away from Austin Doyle. But here comes the BMW from Doyle behind. Doyle electing to take the straight line speed. Velez goes in a little deep, but manages to make the overtake. Freaking stick! What is happening? This 4-car battle seemingly never ending. Doyle looking at Sugg like, I would like that place back, please. Maybe would like to force Sugg into a mistake. The current rookie double race winner versus a former graduate of the program, battling it out for 7th place. De Santiago, another current rookie, also battling, wants to get a piece of the former graduate. As they say, as much as you graduated, we're still gonna try and beat you. Velez currently holding serve in this 4-car battle.
Yes, currently in the lead of this 4-car train, like you mentioned, able to get the move done on the Porsches down that back straight, but he's just not able to pull away any advantage. But the cars battling behind will certainly benefit the Camaro here, as he has a bit of clean air to work with in front, just to hammer down a couple of consistent laps to pull away from the battling cars behind. But Colin Sugg is not making it easy. Austin Doyle choosing the Alex Freeman strategy of diving out of the battles as he goes into the pit lane to serve his mandatory pit stop. Brian De Santiago is released onto the back of Colin Sugg in the BMW, and we know that BMW has really strong straight line speed advantage. Up the hill of the S's they go. The Camaro will be really happy to see that Colin Sugg is not that close to pull off a move. And thank you for following Andres City, and thank you to all the followers we may have missed earlier. Thank you very much for all the support from me and all of the Trackalicious staff and admins and stewards and what have you. Happy to have you here on a Monday night to start the week off with some great sim racing action in round 7 of the GT4 Open Series. A bit over 16 minutes into the race so far, still plenty of time left to go. A mandatory pit stop almost completed for Austin Doyle. It'll be interesting where he comes out relative to Alex Freeman, and it looks like they're going to go side by side on pit exit. Who will benefit down the back straight?
Freeman's got the hotter tires. Yep, Freeman got the hotter tires. He's right on the back. The Aston Martin will have the straight line speed advantage compared to the Porsche. However, Freeman faking a move. However, Doyle, an expert in this corner, last year got to race here in the rookies, knows what he's doing in the open, and that is Polyakov in the pits, serving his pit stop as the top 4 seemingly almost kind of ran away. They've almost been forgotten about because of this mid-pack battle that's electively going on right now.
Yeah, the battle for the mid-pack has really slowed their pace down. And in front, Ricardo Rivera has a 3-second lead over Neil Kerbel. But like you said, the Maserati pitting from second place. The gap, I believe, was around 1.5 seconds to the lead of Rivera. So now the tire and pit strategy, very important and crucial for those to decide of what strategy they want to go on. Austin Doyle was able to maintain that undercut attempt, or sorry, maintain his advantage from the undercut attempt, but he runs wide after exiting the boot. Alex Freeman just having a sniff up the inside. Austin Doyle keeping the speed through turn number 10, and into the final corner they go to complete lap number 10 in this race. Austin Doyle really under pressure, and a couple of cars in front that they were battling with also pitted. Eric Velez and De Santiago both in the pits, and now coming out behind this battle. So Austin Doyle and Alex Freeman really coming out in front, as De Santiago is gonna battle with, who is that? That's the Professor Chronotis, down a few laps, so not actually battling for position in the race. But DeSantiago able to benefit after the pit stops. He is now in front of Velez.
Crucially, that is important. They actually pitted at the same time. So that's a much better pit stop by DeSantiago. I'm actually going to throw it to you because you have the stats. Did Velez isn't like 5 seconds back, so obviously neither of them took tires, or both of them took tires, or etc.
They both did take tires. It looks like everybody that was battling earlier did take tires, but DeSantiago and Velez having slightly longer pit stops than the rest.
Probably due to damage and ticks and stuff like that, because they were all kind of like tapping with one another on their cars and stuff like that. Freeman getting a little bit frustrated because he's on the back of Doyle. Definitely wanted the undercut to work, but seemingly it hasn't worked this time around. So here is hoping that Freeman, hoping Doyle makes maybe a few more mistakes, but he is a rookie graduate, so maybe not some mistakes to be had there by Doyle, but Freeman sure hoping of such.
Yeah, sticking to the tail as best as he can to the Porsche in front. He did benefit a few positions from the undercut to DeSantiago and Velez, but just not quite able to do it on the Porsche in front. And Colin Sugg was involved in that battle earlier, electing to go long and not fazed by the cars pitting behind, just trying to put in some consistent laps while he has some clean air to work with in front. Let's see what Alex Freeman can do in the Aston Martin down the back straight. Is he close enough to take a peek down the inside? And Austin Doyle not phased yet, not shaping up defensively at all, confident in his defensive skills through the bus stop, keeping the position from Alex Freeman so far.
Definitely Freeman probably going to get a little bit frustrated here. The fact that Doyle's just doing enough to just keep him away. But that is the beauty and the art of racing. However, some drivers ahead of them still need to pit. Ricardo Rivera, they most likely won't see. Kerbal Torres, they probably won't see. Maybe not Beachley, but Sugg and Porkchop definitely are cars that they will see, especially the number 34 of Colin Sugg, who definitely still needs to make a pit stop. And those tires are probably going to be in a little bit of a sad state from all that battling before.
Yeah, they sure will. Of course, the one benefit of going long versus short is that you have a much shorter stint to close off the end, and that means a lot less fuel being carried, which means the car is a lot lighter, a lot easier to maneuver through the corners, and especially with the fresh tire advantage. Alex Freeman dipping a wheel into the grass, losing a bit of time to Austin Doyle in front. And the professor in a bit of a sandwich here as he has to let Velez through, as he is not currently battling them for track position, as he is a lap down on track.
Yeah, it kind of sucks being in the blue flags. I've definitely been in there before. It's not a fun situation you find yourself in. You kind of really want to be fighting with these drivers, but it's just sometimes the way that it is. You don't want to compromise another driver's race as much as you have the pride in your own ability to drive. So it's a little bit of an unfortunate for the Professor. Canoda's probably dealing with some connection issues as well. DeSantiago, a little bit of a bouncy moment there for him, but he manages to keep it steady. But however, he's going to actually open himself up to Velez here, but defending it well, going up the inside. Velez going to have to go around the outside. Might have miscalculated a little bit there as he goes a little bit deep.
Yeah, a little bit deep, nearly taking his wheels onto the grass, and that will certainly not have helped him take the corner. Might have even ended up in the barrier there. Ramon Torres and Colin Sugg in the pits. They were running in third and fourth place before they pitted, and were running in fourth and fifth place before all of the drivers completed their pit stops. It'll be interesting to see where Sugg comes out relative to Austin Doyle, as those two Porsches were battling it out for the majority of the beginning of the race, just about reaching the halfway mark. This is the pretty popular pit stop strategy we've seen through most of the season. Ramon Torres able to get out of the pit stops nice and early, and there is Austin Doyle flashing through. The overcut not working very well here for Colin Sugg, as he finds himself behind Alex Freeman as well, and almost getting involved in the battle between the number 88 of Velez and De Santiago in the 777.
I'm wondering if Sugg took tires on. He must have. Because, like, if he didn't take tires, I think he would have been ahead.
They all took tires.
Everyone's taking tires?
Yeah, everyone has taken tires so far, but Colin Sugg's pit stop was about 3 seconds longer than that of Austin Doyle and Alex Freeman. Velez drifting through the bus stop. Fantastic save there. De Santiago, oh, who was that? I believe that was Colin Sugg facing the wrong way in the 34.
I wonder if replay in time? I don't think so. But what happened? So we go to the replay booth. Let's see how he's got to have just absolutely murdered a curb. Everything's fine until he's murdered a curb. And sadness. Those fresh tires immediately just get burnt to a crisp and flat spotted, and it's just sad for Colin Sugg, who was in a good position a few moments ago just after the pit stop, but now finds himself gonna have to do a little bit of work to catch De Santiago and Velez.
Yeah, he sure is, having a really strong race earlier in the rookies as well, but good to see the perseverance keeps the car rolling out on track, but currently sits in 11th place. Neil Kerbel and Ricardo Rivera both completing their pit stops, and they both end up in front of Polyakov, I believe. No, not quite. Justin Beachley out in the lead, and Polyakov, after setting fast lap after fast lap, gets the undercut done, and he finds himself about 2 seconds in front of Ricardo Rivera for the overall lead of the race.
My predictions are in danger of not a single one becoming correct. I needed Doyle or Sugg to get a podium. They haven't. I needed De Santiago in the top 5. He has. I need Ricardo Rivera to at least keep me from being shut out on the board. And all my curses coming true. But right now, Ricardo Rivera is just going to have to do his best to gain it in the straights, because that's the only place that he is going to get it on this Maserati, which is an absolute beast in the corners.
Yeah, it sure is. And Justin Beachley might just try to go for the long strategy here and try to use his tires as much as he can before just fueling up for a quick stint at the end to get that advantage. We've seen it before. It might work out on this occasion with just a few laps remaining, or if he does decide to pit with a few laps remaining. But in the overall lead after the pit stops should be Nikolai Polyakov in the number 40 Maserati. Ricardo Rivera 2.7 seconds behind in the 787. He will have much fresher tires though. They pitted a lot later than Polyakov did. Same with Neil Kerbel, who maintains that third position between Ricardo Rivera and Ramon Torres. The 3 McLarens currently out on track 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but that order might change after Justin Beachley comes in for his mandatory pit stop.
Ricardo Rivera absolutely attacking the corners. De Santiago and Velez still fighting each other for what seems like a freaking eternity. That battle just seems to be never ending. And part of me wonders if they're ever going to stop fighting. But, ooh, that could have been ugly there, Kuja.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, he was just tapping, just trying to cut the corner as much as he can, but just cutting it too much was Eric Velez as we ride with the rear wing of Brian De Santiago, currently in front of the Camaro in the 88. Eric Velez just tapping the barrier with the Camaro. That gap growing to about 1.3 seconds. And so Brian DeSantiago can breathe a little more calmly, a little less pressure being applied, but he certainly wants to keep it clean for the remaining 20 and a bit minutes remaining in round 7 around Watkins Glen here this evening.
Beachley pits. In where will he come out? There goes Polyakov. There goes Ricardo Rivera. Maybe he can stay ahead of Neil Kerbel. No, he cannot. It's going to be Ramon Torres that he's going to end up hopefully fighting with. Waiting for the red or the yellow one to go away. It's not going away. Why isn't it going away? It's Austin Doyle. He's going to possibly encroach in on Beachley's territory here, but Beachley crosses the line immediately and looks like he is going to stave off and find himself in P5, the position he was in once before. What a save. Hockey is a frustrating sport, folks. It is a very, very frustrating sport. And the joys of being a fan.
As racing can be too. Some days just can go your way, and other days you're just involved in an incident that no one can control at all, and just not going that way. It looks like Professor Chronotis is experiencing that fortune at the moment. Currently in the pits in the 42, serving that mandatory pit stop. He is a lap or two down, and the 707 with a yellow flag exiting the tow. That's Wade Georgeson currently in 12th place. And Justin Beachley is approaching that yellow flag section now. And there, the 707 is rolling underway once again, finding a pretty decent gap in the traffic, but there might be a good bit of damage to the front end of the McLaren of Wade Georgeson. Nikolai Polyakov, pretty commanding 3-second lead at the moment. Ricardo Rivera, though, trying ever so desperately lap by lap to close the gap, but it's going the opposite direction. It's now 3.5 seconds between the two leaders.
A lot of the gaps now have definitely been fanned out and filled as every driver has completed their pit stop before the 18-minute mark. So now it's just kind of about who can keep their incidences and who can keep the most off, not going off. The amount of words there in my brain definitely didn't suit very well. Shocked about that. As Valiv almost has a... I smacked my keyboard in happiness there, folks, as the screen glitched a little bit there, folks. Sorry about that. I got a little excited. And now we have DeSantiago defending from Velez. Velez is a little bit too far back to even think about a move.
Yeah, a bit too far back on this occasion. DeSantiago, though, cutting the corners just about perfectly in the BMW. Eric Velez controlling the oversteer on the exit of the bus stop just perfectly on the Camaro. This is the closest battle we have currently on track between the BMW and the Camaro. DeSantiago defending 8th place from Eric Velez behind, but he is getting closer and closer. Lap by lap, they are bumper to bumper, exiting the tow. Can Velez get the run down to the heel he needs to pull a move off and finally get by DeSantiago for 8th place, but not quite on this occasion. Tucks back into the racing line, letting DeSantiago stay in front for the time being. DeSantiago, though, going through turn number 9, takes the inside defensive approach, not letting Velez, or not giving Velez any room on the inside to sweep through and take the position away. Velez will have to try again as they round the final corner to start lap number 18.
Velez into Santiago seemingly is a battle that will get talked about through the generations to come. They will sit down with their grandchildren and talk about the times that Velez and Santiago decided to spend an entire 50-minute session fighting each other, just non-stop, handoff to handoff, position for position. It doesn't matter the place of the position. All that matters is the pride that is on the line. Velez, again, a little too far back, but Santiago has definitely made a few mistakes before here. The Camaro wants to freaking flip over.
Yeah, he's taking the curbs very heavily, trying to gain any sort of advantage he can on the BMW in front. But Brian DeSantiago is looking very consistent here in the closing stages of the race. Just 15 minutes left now for Velez to try and make the move, but DeSantiago is pretty comfortable with having the Camaro behind. The BMW pretty confident around the entirety of the lap, as he knows the strong points and the weaknesses of his car, having raced in the rookies just a couple of minutes before the start of the open session with the qualifying. A pretty good qualifying result from DeSantiago as well, all things considered, jumping into the open series from that rookies, and a really good, strong top 10 result on for him as well, if he can maintain the position over Velez behind.
It's definitely a situation that, like, I always find is, like, the stronger rookies, especially with Sugg, who, again, won both races in the rookies, and Velez is pitting?
Yeah, I was about to question that, but then we kind of cut away from him going in, but not sure why he's doing that. Maybe just didn't quite calculate the right level of fuel he needed, so instead of tire or fuel saving through the laps, just electing to come into the pits and take the damage there.
That'll be interesting to possibly find out about later. But right now, it's just I almost called it the Janetta. Why am I blanking on it now? Why? Hold on. There it is. I was about to say, don't say it. The Maserati. The Maserati holding off the McLarens quite well. It's almost like as soon as the McLaren can't get in a straight behind it, it's almost like it's kind of neutralized.
Yeah, 100%.
Sounds so nice.
Yeah, the V8, I believe, in the Maserati does sound very nice indeed. Alex Freeman closing the gap to Austin Doyle for this battle for 6th and 7th place. 1.2 seconds. It was a little bit closer on the lap before, but just growing a little bit, just kind of going or giving and taking lap by lap, sector by sector, just depending on where the Aston is stronger or weaker than the Porsche in front. Alex Freeman, the undercut maestro. Oh, and it sounded like there was a bit of a tap with the wall from one of the cars before. Not quite sure what that bit of screeching noise there. It didn't seem like Austin Doyle went that wide to tap the barrier on the outside, but nonetheless maintains his position 1.4 seconds in front of Alex Freeman.
Definitely a situation where you don't want to make any mistakes, especially the time kind of fleeting in this position. The screeching noise you heard. All the way across the map, Neil Kerbel drifts across the bus stop there, but manages to keep it in a good position and had a big enough gap to Ramon Torres where it didn't hurt him all too much.
Yeah, he had a really comfortable gap, and fortunately able to keep it out of the wall and didn't have to reverse or anything, just had to move the car forward a little bit slowly there, but nonetheless maintains third position, but maybe a little bit of damage done to those tires might not help him in the closing stages, with Ramon Torres being not too far off. I can say Neil Kerbel lost around 6 seconds in that incident in the bus stop chicane, but nonetheless has 6.1 second advantage to Ramon Torres in the McLaren, chasing him for that final podium position behind.
I think things will stay how they are. That's a little impromptu prediction for the folks at home. I think the order will stay how it is. Like, in terms of the top three. Let me make that clear before Doyle loses this position to Freeman. In terms of the top three, the order will stay the same. Just so that I don't get called out when Freeman overtakes Doyle here into turn 1.
Yeah, he's certainly trying his best to do that and break that statement of yours from earlier on. But Austin Doyle keeping the position at the time being, as the sun is really setting, getting towards 7 o'clock local time, might just get into the driver's eye. Alex Freeman, a fantastic run out of the S's up the hill. Can he keep that momentum around the outside of the bus stop? Who's gonna break later? Austin Doyle with the inside cuts through. Alex Freeman having a bit of a look, but Austin Doyle defends it very well and maintains 6th place in front of Alex Freeman for the time being. Just under 10 minutes left. Should be around 5 laps for these drivers to figure out who will finish in 6th and who will finish in 7th place.
Definitely going to be a battle with these final 9 minutes to go. Freeman and Doyle are absolutely fighting it out like madmen for this 6th place position. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your predictions. I'm not going to make predictions on this. I've already made enough as it. That the right side wins the right side of the car. Your windscreen's down there, sir. I suggest you might want to put that up. Is it trying to block out the sun, maybe?
Which part? What do you mean?
So you know how in cars they have that part where you can pull it out from like the roof, and it sometimes has a mirror in it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's on the right side of this Aston Martin.
Oh,
so the upper right-hand corner.
Yeah, that's the number indicator. So if we go outboard here, so that's where the number positioning board is located in the car.
Ah, I see. Well, that's an interesting spot to put that right in the driver's view. I guess your response is like, where else would you put it? So let's see if Freeman can get Doyle here into the bus stop. It doesn't look likely based off of where his positioning is, but stranger things have occurred.
Yeah, 100%. And the Aston is much stronger in a straight line. And depending on the exit of the first corner, it is relatively flat out through the entirety of the S's. And yeah, we'll just say it's to protect the inside onboard camera from the sun. I don't see why not. Because it depends on the series, though. I believe in the WEC, they run the number plates and the positioning boards now on the sides of the car rather than on the front. But I could be wrong. We'll just have to tune in to a Le Mans Ultimate race and just see how they look in comparison to ACC.
Or you could watch the 6 hours of Spa this weekend, actually.
Yeah, that is actually a very exciting thing coming up. Very fun. I love all the tracks on the WEC calendar, and the 6 hours of racing certainly provides a good bit of action between the different classes, as well as the GT3s and the hypercars are out on track together. But that is this coming weekend, and this is now. Round 7 around Watkins Glen coming to a close here in the Open Championship. After this round, we will have our season finale at Bathurst. Once again, just looking a little bit ahead after I told myself to stop looking ahead. I'm contradicting myself here, Tyler.
I mean, I do it all the time. Like how many times I've cursed somebody or made a comment that I freaking swore on the stream already, which again, apologize for, it's a family-friendly show. Damn this Maserati. Damn it, this Maserati. It's ruined all my... This is the second time where a driver has randomly shown up, won the race from Ricardo Rivera, and just ruined my predictions. Again. This is the second... This is the only way they're going to prevent Ricardo Rivera from winning the season. It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy!
It's a conspiracy against Tyler that none of the predictions come true. So that way we always curse everything and nothing comes true. But nonetheless, Ricardo Rivera should have the championship lead with those drivers only competing in 1 or 2 races in the championship. So he should maintain that championship advantage over his rivals coming down to the season finale next week, next Monday here at Trackalicious. So do tune in to that to see who will come out on top in the championship and who will take the crown in both the rookies and the open. 5 minutes left on the clock here. The sun setting more and more as the minutes tick on by, becoming ever so more in the driver's eyes. Alex Freeman and Austin Doyle approaching the final corner, and they will battle it out here with about 3 laps remaining here in the 50-minute race of round 7.
Definitely a situation where Freeman isn't going to have to get on the horse fully yet, but he's running out. Ooh, he's running out of time to do so, so he's going to have to make a move sooner probably rather than later, as he is running out of time. He's running out of time, and he's running out of daylight to make these moves stick.
Yeah, he sure is, and there have been plenty of moves and plenty of saves. Just want to remind the folks, if there is a clip that you want to nominate for the pass and save of the week or the season, clip it and post it into the respective Discord channel. And to get access to the Discord, just hit !Discord in the chat. Then it'll pop a link, hop on in, share those clips, and our good friend Alex Hansen puts those together. And it's really good fun viewing from all of the series between ACC, Le Mans Ultimate, and iRacing. It's always fun to see the different overtakes and the saves. We've seen plenty through the bus stop, lots of drifts, lots of drivers catching their cars after going heavily on the curbs, lots of overtakes into the bus stop as well. So plenty of action in both the rookies and the open races so far.
I can breathe a sigh of relief. That game is finally over. I do not have to sweat. I'm sweating more than the drivers in these cars right now. Genuinely sweating more than the drivers in these cars. So, Freeman, here's what I might suggest to you. It's not a prediction. I'm not saying you should do this, but fake a move. It will scare Doyle. He'll go off the track, and then you'll take the position. It's not a prediction. I just have a feeling that's what maybe you could do. You still got 2 laps to figure it out, but you are running out of time, and spinning and almost going into the wall will not help.
Yeah, certainly not. And the gap opening up here, going up the hill. But the gap is closing between Colin Sugg and Brian DeSantiago. We saw that mistake earlier after the pit stop from Colin Sugg in the Slug Racing number 34, trying to get on the tail of Brian DeSantiago. The 2 podium finishers from the rookies gonna battle it out in the closing laps here in the Open Championship as well.
Definitely a situation where Sugg might actually get him. Sugg definitely has the chance to get to Santiago here. It is definitely pretty close. He'll have the final lap to do it. So he'll have whatever's left of this and one more. Oh my God, Sugg is really gaining onto Santiago. This isn't now a fight, this is now a move. That's now a possible position gain for Sugg. However, DeSantiago defends it well. DeSantiago and Sugg, this is the race that DeSantiago wanted last in the rookies, not here now in the open, when it's not for the race win, but it's only for 8th place. But you know there's a little bit of pride. Doyle is still defending Freeman. The pit lane is closed, but that doesn't matter as everyone's taking their pit stops. These battles may all, as much as they're not for a podium position or it's not for something, it's still for pride. It's still for points in this championship. Freeman looking, almost waiting to see if there's a moment where he can attack Doyle, and that might be the moment there. Doyle using all the runoff he can into turn 1, probably using up one of the track limit warnings he had remaining. Sugg maybe looking for the inside move onto Santiago, maybe. It's not just there. You got to focus on your exit. The BMW will pull away from you in that uphill straight line section. Doyle still defending from Freeman. DeSantiago defending from Sugg. A Porsche defending an Aston and a BMW defending a Porsche. It's a sandwich here as Dr. Porkchop gonna maybe try and defend from Velez, but sadly does not work. Ricardo Rivera having a backseat view to this as the Dr. Porkchop's tires are seemingly inevitably dying at the seams, and Polyakov in the Maserati will take the race win at Watkins Glen. Ricardo Rivera, deep in the distance, as you can see, will take second place. A good showing for the Puerto Rico E-Racing Club driver. Professor Canota's dipping it into the pits just for more, not insult to injury, but definitely not a situation he wants to have to deal with. He'll take P3, Torres 4th, Beachley 5th. Now, who is going to take 6th place? Is it going to be Doyle or is it going to be Freeman? DeSantiago having advantage over Sugg in their battle right now. So far, as long as Doyle doesn't screw up the final corner, not jinxing him, should maintain that P6 lead. A little bit of a tap on the wall. Doesn't hurt nobody. He'll finish 6th. Freeman will take 7th. Sugg looking desperately for a move. Maybe down the inside. DeSantiago defends it quite well. Not letting Sugg have any moment. Sugg for a switchback. It's going to be a drag race. But that Porsche is not going to win a drag race against the BMW. The BMW will take 8th and Sugg will take 9th. Velez 10th. Porkchop 11th. Granota's 12th. Gorgensen lost. Martino lost. And Duchy lost in the beginning.
Yeah, great race from the Maserati. Losing the lead at the beginning, but able to get it after the undercut attempt is completed by Polyakov for the lead of the race. Rivera finishes in 2nd. Neil Kerbel will round out the podium positions in the 395. And that is the open race. Round 7 complete here at Watkins Glen this evening. Take it back to our studio here, and we invite our lovely podium sinners to join us in the booth for a quick chat to see how their race went on. And I will leave the questions to you this time once again, Tyler.
Now, is it me, or has this season really flown by? Because it has not felt like a full season. It has not felt like a full season at all, to be honest.
Yeah, it feels like we've just been getting started with all the close different battles, just getting to learn everybody and how they battle and everybody's pace. But it's been super fun to watch everybody battle it out for the positions in the races so far. So yeah, just waiting for those podium finishers to join us in the green room. And then, yeah, we'll wait, go ahead and give Tyler, I'm giving you the heads up to lead these interviews here tonight as well.
That's a dangerous game leading it with me, especially with the open drivers, especially with the man that I seriously am just going to just keep producing just the hearts for in Ricardo Rivera. I'm waiting for Neil Kerr to finally decide if he's going to decide to show up for the interviews or not. But I guess we'll just continue on without him, as he seems to be a stickler for this right now. Polyakov, this is the first time I've seen you. Why have you taken the race win?
I'm just taking a race win. I from the first set the challenge to run on one set of tires for whole not only race but quali and practice even, but it was go too much.
Did you tried to do a one tire challenge? That's insane. Like, I could not imagine doing. Are you just that fast? Like, what?
No,
what is
exactly.
that?
I have experience to run doubles on this track on almost the same temperatures.
That is impressive.
I'm sorry, Ricardo Rivera, you weren't winning. I apologize in advance. You were not winning this race at all. Ricardo, did you have maybe a hope or an inkling that you could at least take the race win today, or did you know that was in doubt the moment this man showed up?
I think I got the track position. I got him in the second lap, but I don't know. My strategy wasn't that good, and I should have pitted as soon as he pitted to cover the undercut. Once he was in front, I was seeing his lap times, and I was like, okay, too late. He's already in front. And I'm like super tired. I just arrived from vacation like 1-2 days ago, and I like have a crazy jet lag. So I felt this race like a 6-hour race. To be honest, so like I'm super dead right now. But and yeah, I didn't practice that much also because I wasn't expecting someone to to join faster than me, but it happens.
Yeah, you had a great move at the beginning there. Talk us through what it's like lining it up, trying to line it up around Watkins Glen in particular. You seem to have a pretty good overspeed on that overtake.
Yeah, by watching the quali times, I knew that I had an advantage in the sector one, so I knew that my only chance was to make the move right at the first lap or the second, like don't giving him or losing the toe from him. So that was my strategy, but I messed it up by not pitting like right after he took over the track position. But I was committed to overtake him in the first or second lap at latest.
Yeah, no,
So
that's fair enough. Did you ever feel any pressure behind from Neil Kerbel during that first stint? It looked like the gap opened up after the pit stop, but he was pretty close to you throughout the majority of that first stint, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was like just a 10 slower per lap maybe, and he was keeping like close to us. I was hoping to him to overtake the Maserati also in the straight, but I was hoping for him to give me a little bit of help, but it didn't happen.
he almost put him in the wall actually there at the beginning there. Always, are you gonna put him in the wall? But Polyakov, are you gonna race next week?
Yeah, probably. And probably now I have the time to run, not bothering by work.
Nice.
How do you guys enjoy a wet Bathurst? Because if the weather looks wet for Bathurst,
I have some Vietnam flashbacks from Bathurst.
yeah, it's 0.85 clouds, 0.35 rain variability too.
Oh, yeah. That's
Ricardo Rivera's just no.
What about flooded track?
It's flooded. It's flooded.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so this is gonna be fun.
I'm gonna love this. I don't have to drive it.
I don't know how actually maybe he can tell us like how a car without ABS works in the rain. I haven't tried.
Maserati has other problems on this track. It's even on dry. It's kind of sketchy. And on hot lap run, I literally make one wheel run on Skyline.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you both for joining. Sadly, we didn't get Neil Kerbal in this, which is a little unfortunate, but nevertheless, thank you both for joining. Congratulations, Pulyakov, and I'm sorry, Ricardo Rivera. I predicted you to win the race, so you can blame that one on me.
Conspiracy!
It's a conspiracy.
It's always a conspiracy. Yeah, congrats to you both. Looking forward to what sort of action you guys can provide in the season finale next week.
Hey, see you next week. Thanks for everything.
No problem. Yeah,
See you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Oh, so almost cut him off. Fortunately, cut off Nikolai there at the end. And sorry, Nikolai.
We both did.
Oh.
I think I took Ricardo.
Oh, nice. Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. But yeah, congrats nonetheless. Good to see that commanding performance from start to finish from you, my friend. And hopefully we are not saying your name. We should have asked how to say his name while we had him here. Silly of us not to do that. We'll ask next time, because I'm sure he will show us that esports level pace that the chat is alluding to. Before we get to our final thoughts, let's take a quick look at the Trackalicious calendar and the races coming up to close out the spring season. On Mondays, you just saw here our GT4 Rookies and Open Championship starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, with the rookies just finished up Watkins, Glen, Bathurst next week for the 20-minute doubleheader for the rookies and the 50-minute race for the Open. And in that season finale, we've got prizes going to a random participant who participated in 7 of the 8 races in the Rookies series. And that same prize from Next Level Racing, which is a haptic gaming pad, will go to the championship winner in the GT4 Open Championship. On Tuesdays, we switch it over to Le Mans Ultimate. We've got our second 60 or multi-class 60 championship underway, going to Interlagos in Brazil tomorrow for a 60-minute race between the GT3s and the hypercars, qualifying beginning at 8:30 Eastern. On Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, we go to the GT3 West Coast Championship in Assetto Corsa. Of course, you don't have to live on the West Coast to participate. If the time works for you, please feel free to sign up for the closing 2 races. We've got Nordschleife and Kyalami remaining in that championship of 50-minute races. On Thursday, we switch to iRacing in that mixed GT3 and GT4 championship beginning at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Hockenheim and Spa will close out the championship there with 60-minute races at both. The Friday series of Le Mans Ultimate has concluded, and there are no races scheduled in the time being for Saturdays, apart from the occasional one-offs and those fun swap driver events. So to keep up to date with all the latest, do join the Discord to keep track of what's available here at Trackalicious coming up on Fridays and potentially on Saturdays as well. To close out the week or to start the week, depending on how you like to look at it, on Sunday at 8:30 Eastern Time, we've got the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship in ACC. 80-minute races going on there. 2 races remaining in the championship, going to Bathurst this coming weekend and Watkins Glen to close out the season. The winner of that championship will receive an ERS4 Fabric and Sim Aero Mesh Edition seat for their sim rig. So do try your best to close out the championship there and get that prize from our good friends over at Next Level Racing. We'll send it back to Tyler real quick for his closing thoughts on tonight's race and what we're looking forward to in the finale next week.
I think knowing the information that I'm knowing now, especially with the that's coming in for the Open, I hope as many drivers go into the Open as possible, especially if I already have struggles at Bathurst when I'm driving it. I can't imagine what it's going to be like flooded to the gills with water. Like, the rookies alone, if you saw the aggression at Watkins Glen and you do that at Bathurst, half the grid will not finish the race. So it'll be, especially for the championship leaders, who hopefully next time we get on stream, we'll throw up the standings to like really show how much is it like on the line for these drivers. As much as in the rookies, it's kind of a random who wins, but obviously you want to win in the rookies championship. But it's all going to come out to who can survive in the mountain, because that's just what Bathurst is. Because it's literally just Monaco, but in Australia. The walls are your track limit. So good luck to the drivers next week, and I can't wait to commentate on your Doom.
Yeah, likewise. It's been really fun here at Watkins Glen. The rookies provided a bunch of action in those 2 20-minute races. Lots of fun clips out there for grabs for potential pass and save of the season nominees in the Discord. So do keep track of those. Post a fun video every week with all the passes and saves from all the different series all week long. Lots of action in the open series at the beginning, a little bit kind of opening up during those pit stop phases and then closing right back up towards the end again with those 2 fantastic battles going on. And yeah, Bathurst is basically Monaco around a mountain, up the hill and then down the hill. Absolutely nowhere to go other than the walls, just a few sections at the end and the beginning of the lap where there's a bit of runoff. But other than that, it's walls all around, and the rain certainly adding another challenging factor if that is the case. Or if ACC decides to simulate that is the case, but it is looking very much like that is going to be the case in the Open Championship as well. Maybe a little bit kinder to the rookies this time around, and we'll give them some dry conditions. But that is, of course, up to the lovely event organizers who keep everything running here in the background at Trackalicious. Big shout out to everybody who participates in doing that. Much love to you guys keeping all the series here alive for us to view and us to commentate on and us to give to you guys in the chat. Big thanks to everybody following. Big thanks to everybody subscribing as well. Lots of support, lots of multi-month support too. Lots of very, very, very grateful for all the continued support from all of you guys to us here at Trackalicious. Make sure to stick around for the raid here of Dr. Swank doing some iRacing. And from us here in the commentators booth, Tyler Morgan was alongside me this evening. I have been Kuja Terekov. I hope you all have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you may be joining us. We will catch you all next time.